Let's go. Oh my god, look at
You're
me. I'm
in
so
there.
cute.
You're back there talking.
Oh,
It
look
worked
at
out better than I
me.
thought it would. I was like kind of playing with it. I was like the size of whatnot.
Are you might be echoing on your stream?
I'm echoing on my screen.
Nope. You're good. Never mind.
I'll say I only have
It's
like
hard to listen and talk and then listen and
I have like
Never
one
mind,
mic
sorry.
open. It's like I don't know how I'm echoing.
It's good. It sounds good. And my voice is
Oh,
coming
because you
through,
had the
so
stream turned up.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, I just listened just to make sure it all sounded good. But yeah, damn, we're live.
yes.
We're in this. This is happening. Are we gonna get controversial? Controversial?
I
Are
mean,
we
we
talking?
may just
Okay,
depending
cool.
upon like what the the just where the dialogue goes. I guess because a
All
lot
right.
of it's
Well,
just in terms of I'm kind of looking at like a point of like how we just often are when we have discussions, I guess. Like we just it kind of trails wherever it fucking trails. You know what I mean? Like there's
that's very true.
endless forks in the road whenever we all just sit down and like converse.
That reminds me of that Muppet song. Moving right along.
Doesn't everything reminds you of a Muppet
Du-du-du-du-du-du.
song? I feel
I
like I
feel
could
very
point to some
judged.
like a bug in the middle of the street or something, and you'd be like, "That reminds me of a Muppet song." And it's like fucking
Oh my god. I was so
from
mean to my
Kermit's
brother when I was
Frog Ears
young.
or some shit.
Like, just randomly, like we'd be on vacation. I'd be like, "See that like random sign like in the middle of the field that like no one is looking at? Yeah, that's you." Just like all this random shit all the time.
Like,
Like,
gee,
see that
thanks.
pile of trash that like no one even put in the trash can?
That's so
Yeah, that's
fucking
you.
mean.
That was like my whole like probably from when I was like 12 to 18. I was
But
just always so mean to my brother.
but did you do anything physically to harm?
I probably beat him up sometimes.
Oh, okay. My sister ran over me with a bike one Christmas.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, we got bikes, and I got like a scooter, and we were like going to
Like
my
a
grandma's
bicycle?
house, or like a giant fucking a big bike, like a mountain bike.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was hilarious, but at the same time traumatizing because I was very young, and I just remember falling on my scooter and be like, "Oh no," because like fell on the scooter, and we were always
Yeah.
raised to be like tough. So like if you fell down, you get back up, you dust yourself off, you fucking move
Yeah.
forward, you know. So,
Yeah. You don't
um,
cry.
but it was like insult to injury because like she went straight over me, like she didn't even hesitate.
Oh.
I was like, "Have you not figured out the fucking brakes at this point? Like you've been we've been riding for over a quarter mile, you know? Like come on, get your shit together." Like fucking kid, man. So I was like, I imagine I cried, but I think I cried more because I was embarrassed because my sister just ran over me with a fucking bike. You know what I mean? Like, like people walking around, it's fucking Christmas morning, and it's like, geez,
That's funny that happened on Christmas too. Like you don't take your bikes outside here on Christmas.
hell no, I don't think you barely take the people outside on Christmas in fucking Canada, dude.
No, yeah, you don't.
The fucking well, hold on,
Yeah,
let me
you
put this 19th layer of fucking clothes on, and then
like
fucking
if you got a bike or something like outdoorsy for Christmas, it's kind of sad because you have to wait a very long time to actually use it. So you do not put that on your Christmas wish list.
we all got like 3 weeks a year. You can use the fucking thing anyway.
Okay,
I
okay,
always joke, man, but
okay.
it's like seriously, like honestly, like in terms of your spring, like we've never really delved that deep into it. Like how does your like spring work up there where you are? Because like you're pretty high up in Canada, though, right? Like Alberta's like pretty high up
Nothing's
there, right?
really high up in Canada, to be honest. All of our major cities stay pretty low. Um, where I am, I don't know. Yeah, it's a little more north than other places, I guess you
Yeah,
could say, without like actually saying where I'm from.
yeah, yeah.
But we get spring in April. So usually the beginning of April, it's quote unquote spring. Will it snow before June? Probably. Did it snow yesterday? I think it did.
Oh god, that's awful.
But it doesn't stick to the ground anymore, right?
Yeah,
So we call this spring, even though snow comes sometimes. And then it usually gets like hot, hot, like July, August, and towards the end of August, that last like week or so, it's cold again.
and then
And like
here like, right
fall and
now
then
it's
winter.
fucking April 15th, and we have like 80 degrees.
80 degrees.
Yeah,
13 Celsius here.
that's like
There's
fucking 80 degrees
13
is
Celsius.
is fucking
Fahrenheit.
uh,
55
yeah,
is what it is for us right now.
yeah,
And wow, 80 degrees is
yeah.
26.666.
That's
That's like
like
a
July
Douglas
fucking
number.
weather for us. That's what's weird about it. Like this type of year, we should have like 70, like mid to like high 60
Okay,
in
so
our
around
day.
20. That's
Yeah.
nice.
So like Is
That's
it
nice
nice?
weather.
Is it? I don't like outside though.
You don't like
It's
outside at
too hot.
all?
I hate heat. Can't stand it. Like
But, like,
I
20 is not bad. Like, mid-60s to 70s, 20.
oh yeah, I'll take
Like,
that. That's
that doesn't
great.
sound bad.
But like the fucking I thought you meant the 80s. I'm like 80s can
Are you
fucking.
Canadian?
Am
A
I
little bit?
Canadian? Nah.
Because Canadians often talk about the weather.
I talk
I
about it.
just
What
realized we should start talking about the weather. It's such a Canadian thing.
I just always kind of fall into that because like I notice. I think I notice the weather more than most other current events that happen in the
Maybe
world because the world's so fucking traumatic. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, at least I can sort the weather out. You know, it makes sense to me. I guess
maybe you're a little Canadian.
I might be. Could possibly be. Maybe I was. Maybe my ancestors were like the Vikings that first laid claim to the Americas before everybody blamed one
In,
for.
Nova Scotia, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody
Look, I knew
admits
a
that
thing.
though.
Are you proud of me?
I am very proud. Nobody ever admits that shit though. They're like, "Oh no, it was Christopher Columbus." I'm like, "Shut up,
Well, I
blasphemy."
mean,
To North
yeah.
America, like it was the Vikings, in my opinion, like in terms
Yeah.
of how history kind of played it out. And in terms of the US, Christopher Columbus is my guy, like, because it
I
was,
mean,
like, New England or whatever.
it's like the Bible, for instance. Somebody decided what was gonna be written in the Bible, and
Yeah,
then everyone decided, like, "Yep, that's how it is." But
sounds
that's
good.
it's not it's how you interpret
Yeah.
things.
That's everything in life, though, it's like
You can't
everything is
take things
subjective, I think.
literally just because it's written down.
Yeah.
It's
Like, I
just
go more by, like, the sagas in terms of the past than I do, um, actual, like, writing, because the majority of, most literature that we have nowadays that comes from a distant past has been altered in some way for us to better understand it. And that kind of breaks down the knowledge behind the actual um, things that took place. You know what I mean? So, like you said, in terms of the Bible may have not been written exactly the same way that it's presented to everybody now because of it was such an ancient time. It's hard to you're not going to meet anybody and have a conversation, be like, oh yeah, this was how it was. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like everything changes over time. You got to look at a lot of it like rumors, just how rumors how they
Yeah, of course.
coincide, like, things get a little bit either a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller as the rumor goes on because everybody can't interpret everything exactly the same way.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, if you ever hear a rumor about yourself, you're like, "Wow, really? That's what people are saying?"
I hope
Also,
it's nice to know people talk about me.
your Discord, you should post that you are live. I
Uh,
think you do it manually.
I never do that.
Oh, really? Oh, I
Uh-uh.
thought you do. Okay.
I never do. People just kinda show up and I'm like, "Hey, thanks for figuring out I'm here." I probably
I just
should.
assumed.
I probably fucking should, but, like I'm supposed to have a thing on my and I guess maybe it's down, but
Like
I
a
was
bot. Yeah, I heard the
yeah, I got a
bots are
bot,
just
but
not really
fucking
the
bot is
greatest.
dumb.
They don't work the best.
Yeah, I'll
But yeah, I was talking about getting a bot for things like that. And then I just heard that so often than not, they don't work, that people just have to go manually do them anyways, or they like work and then it's like 30 minutes later, like after you start.
Yeah, it's
So,
pretty dumb how all this stuff happens. Like one day it works, the next day it doesn't.
yeah, it's like the sound alerts and everything else, right?
Nope.
Yeah, good old streaming. There's so many like layers to streaming too.
Oh, there are.
It's crazy.
And depending on how much stuff you want in your stream, makes it
Yeah,
that much more complicated. Like Cleric has a bunch of stuff in his stream. And like when you're already in terms of like a VTuber, like mine was to me was already too complex. I was like, there's too much shit going on,
like so
which
many
reminds
programs
me,
you
I
have to
mean,
open.
yeah, and it's just like fuck, I forgot to sign into my fucking sound alerts and shit just to make sure all that shit's working. So this is like when you don't stream very much. Um, this is the issue you have is that you don't think about the important shit you should be doing, and
Right.
so that's working.
Hey, I thought I would test it. Yeah, I used to like always test it right before I went live, and then now I'm like, I don't have time for that.
Well, like I'll
Just
log
get
into
going and
just
hope for the best.
Streamlabs
But
because that's where all my notifications for like stop that.
yes.
Oh, leave me alone. Like, hey, you want some notifications? I don't. I want you to just sign my shit in. Leave me alone. Always overcomplicate. Like simplify my life. I'm very simple
I
though.
know. I think we asked for too much simplification, and then
Uh,
get the opposite. Like, I got this new phone, like, over a month ago now.
Oh, yeah.
It's an Android still, but it's the last one I got was over 3 years ago, right? So a lot has changed since then. And this phone has all, like, you just swipe to do things.
Oh,
You
yeah.
swipe this way or that way or down or circle. I don't know, it just fucking does shit. And I don't know what the hell it ever did ever. I'm like, why did I get back to this app? Why am I here? Why did this close? Why can't I like you know how you can put Twitch, like, tiny, so you could still see somebody's stream, but then you can go in a different app? I could never figure out how to do that, and so I
Yeah, yeah.
literally, like, asked Dennis, I'm like, "Can you turn this phone back into, like, the old way where it has, like, the little, like, buttons on the screen at the bottom, just so I can use it?" And he did that, like, a couple days ago, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I love this phone. This phone doesn't suck anymore." But I just
Takes a
can't.
while to get
Things
used to a lot
change.
of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I need to upgrade my phone. I've had my phone for only a few years, but it's just I mean, with all the updates on the apps that I use, I really don't even use that many apps, but there's so many updates that it's already just eaten up
Oh, like the
my
space?
like, my space, and it's just like I'm to the
Oh,
point where
yeah.
I have, like,
Oh
2.78
god.
gigs of fucking space left, and I have to clear it constantly, and I'm like, "Bastard."
It could be, like, even, like
It's
WhatsApp,
the system shit,
conversations or
most of it.
text conversations that
Oh,
it
yeah, I don't do
saves.
any backup. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, that was one
But
thing I had to
I
take
turned it
out.
off, and then it turned itself back on. I'm like, "This don't fucking invade my shit. What the
Or when it, like,
fuck?"
auto saves pictures that people send to you, it's like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, I like seeing the photo for a second, but I don't always wanna save it on my device
Yeah,
forever."
that's the only thing I hate about that program is that, like, you have to actually download the items in order to see them. You know what I mean? It's like, instead of just auto download to where you can view it like any other forum, where it just
Yeah.
shows on the fucking forum, it's like, "Here's an idea. Let's make you save it to your phone, and then you have to add that space." It's just a little bit of space. The thing is, like, most photos that come through are only, like, a couple megs, but
Mhm.
they stack up, and sometimes we send a lot of shit. Like, Chris and I will just send, like, fucking 15 gifts back to back. You know what I mean? So for
Yeah.
everybody to kinda enjoy our gift fucking,
Your gifts?
bombardment, you have to download all the shit and see it. Now it's saved to your phone, so now you had to go through and, like, delete it. And it's like the thing about it is, though, like, I have huge conscience. So even though I know it's okay to go ahead and delete it and you guys aren't gonna, like, lose your shit, I feel bad sometimes, especially when you guys send, like, personal kinda pictures, and I'm like of, like, your life, and your
Oh,
families
like,
and stuff.
it's
Yeah, and I'm
fine.
like, I delete it, and I'm like, I feel bad about that for some reason.
At
Been
least
times
that
where I've
shows
kinda
you have a
weighed.
soul,
Yeah, I guess that's
but
kind of
it's
good
fine.
there.
I don't
But
do that.
I've weighed, like, making a photo album just to save, like, pictures like that, but then at the same time, I'm like, "It's kinda creepy, man, to save pictures of people when they post, like, family pictures and shit." And I'm like, it's like it's a lose-lose situation in my mind, the way my
Yeah.
mind works. I'm like, "Okay, well, it's creepy if I save these pictures because I don't have the, like, authorization to do so." And I can't see myself going back and be like, "Oh, hey, that's cool," all the fucking time, it's weird.
Yeah, yeah, no, I get
Yeah,
it.
but at the same time, I'm like, "They sent these, and now I feel bad because I have to delete them because my phone was like, 'Hey, you probably want these forever,' and I'm like, 'I don't not because it takes up a lot of space.'"
Well, I mean, for, like, my situation too, I feel like a lot of, like, photos I would send to you is, like, what normal people post on their, like, social media,
Yeah, yeah.
which, like, you wouldn't automatically save on
Yeah,
your
yeah.
phone anyways by default. So, I take no offense that you're just deleting them. I
Nope.
just choose not to use social media in that way
I don't blame you. I
for other
mean, so many
reasons.
people are just so they showcase everything. Like,
It's a
nowadays, there's
lot.
no privacy whatsoever, and people don't realize that there's people out there that are waiting for you to do that so that they can manipulate it in some way. I mean, deepfakes are a real thing, and then, like, child predators are a real fucking thing, and you're essentially just putting your
Yeah.
children's pictures out there, even in an innocent fucking way, it can be manipulated to be something disgusting, and it could wind
Yeah,
up on somebody's
exactly.
fucking, somebody's, uh, hard drive somewhere and be manipulated with Photoshop or something to look absolutely terrible, and that's a
Exactly.
definite fear, especially nowadays where technology is, like, so rampant and just so
And, like,
available to everyone.
I'm really strongly opinionated about that too when it comes to like children's photos. Like if you're an adult and you want to have a public social media page,
Mhm.
you're an adult, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's your choice. You can make your own decisions, but like when you like, because technically kids can't have their own social media profile until they're 13, like legally according to
Technically.
the
Yeah,
internet.
yeah.
However, that works, right?
Mhm.
But a lot of parents decide prior to 13 years of age that they, as the parent, are going to put their kids on the internet.
Yep.
And like, how is that? Like, to me, I'm just like, how is that okay? But then the kid themselves can't post their self online,
Yeah, yeah.
but their parents can before they're
It's kinda
13?
counterproductive.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like we're allowing parents to make bad decisions. We're like, "Oh, well, the parents did it."
Yeah, it's like
And
they
then
were
it's
sure
the
they were
and it's
18
the
years old, they made
and then it's the kid now becoming the
mhm.
victim of whatever's going on with these photos. It's just it's
And then
wild.
well, that's the thing is, like, the government has just come right back at it about the kid too, and there's, like they won't necessarily blame the parent, they'll be like, "Well, the only thing they'll say about the parents, well, you should have been smart enough to police your child, not have your child on there," but at the same time, they'll be
Yeah.
like, "Your children should know better." It's like, it's
Yeah.
not the kid's fault
Well,
because they haven't been taught to, "Hey, don't do this, it's not okay," and
yeah.
the parents aren't keeping track of that as much as they should, and you have to. Like, nowadays, you can't be as laid back of a fucking parent as you were 10 years ago, and the next 10 years that pass, you won't be allowed to be as laid back either because that's gonna be even worse of a 10 years because we're slowly making advancements in technology to the point where, I mean, fuck, I mean, believe it or not, one of these days, we're all just gonna be sitting there on headsets having these conversations. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's that like, it's advancing that quickly, and
Like
people don't
VR.
yeah, and people just
I
don't
mean,
realize, like, that leaves you like, that's so much more intimate. Okay, so, like, when you're in a game with
that's
somebody, let
true.
alone
Yeah.
being in a VR game with somebody where you can it feels like I mean, obviously, you can't feel the touch, but you can reach out and notice yourself touching them, and you feel like you're in that environment because your viewpoint is that you're looking down at you like you would in a normal situation where you're standing up as a human, looking down at your
Yeah.
feet. You see that same scenario in VR. It doesn't show you like a weird, skewed perspective like you would have in a normal, like, FPS or some shit when you're playing a video game online.
I mean, even playing like VR chat without a VR headset,
Yeah, it's still
I
very
can kind of
immersive.
relate to that. It is, yeah, it is super immersive. I couldn't imagine actually. Well, like I get motion sickness from VR
Mm.
headsets. That's a huge reason why I haven't used ours in that sense. But I couldn't imagine like minus the motion sickness to actually put on a VR headset and go into like VR chat and then like, everybody who we've met online in the communities and stuff, like just see them in VR chat. It'd be
I love
totally
you.
different than like
Love you too,
just playing
Khaleesi, welcome
games
in.
or chatting and stuff. Khaleesi!
Yeah, it's like, I don't I mean, I get it, like, the immersion and shit, like, that's really cool, but at the same time, like, it always feels kinda weird to me in a way, like, even when we were playing, like, VR chat, mostly because if you don't privatize, like, the places that you go, like, you never know what the fuck you're walking into. Like, some of it's wild and, like, yeah, we're grown and, like, you can handle it, but there's still times where I just don't wanna deal with that shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
sometimes I just wanna hang out with my friends, I don't need to see somebody, like, dry humping like a fucking a robot in the middle of a fucking odd
Oh my
bit of
god,
clouds
right?
or like somebody on somebody's fucking table while they're, like, fake drinking soda, it's like, it's fucking weird, man. Give me
Yeah.
a break, homie, like, make those people have, like, the private server, right? Don't just like, "I got an idea. I'm gonna go throw myself out." Thank you, Mel, for the song.
You're welcome.
But I was like, "I'm gonna go throw myself." I don't just, like, walk in and be like, "You know what? I'm just gonna go find something disgusting," and it's like, you can just walk into basically any
Lobby.
place, man, yeah, and it's like, well, eventually you'll run into somebody. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're a fucking DJing out there, be a DJ if you're happy with it, but don't force everybody else to be your like, audience, It's like it's no different
Yeah.
than me, like, pissing, It's like, I'm not gonna take the camera
Are
with
you
me and be like, "Look, this is how
comparing
I urinate." You know what I'm
are
saying? It's
you
the same
comparing
fucking thing.
being a DJ to, like,
No,
watching
DJing,
people pee?
DJing, like, degenerate.
Oh, I thought you said DJing. I'm like, "Wait,
Yeah,
what?"
yeah. Well, you didn't realize the correlation between that is, like, yeah, every time you, like, spin a record or,
Oh,
like, like, it's very intimate. So, like, no, man, what the fuck?
I know, just I wasn't sure where you were going with that. I was just letting it
No, no,
happen, and then also
DJing,
you're
like
talking about
DJing,
peeing, and I was like, "Wait, what?"
like DEGEN, DJing, yeah.
No,
Uh, but yeah, but,
I
like,
was
that's the thing is, like and don't get me wrong, like, yeah, I'm fully open to people expressing themselves any way they want to express themselves, but I'm just saying there's, like sometimes there's a time and place for it. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
sometimes people just don't wanna be subject to it.
Wait, Callie, you play VR chat?
Yeah.
Nice.
I never played VR chat with you because we had some weird fucking experiences the last time we played VR chat, and honestly, I haven't been, like, compelled to jump right back into VR chat.
Same. We played it, like, that was what, like, 5 years ago? The
Yeah,
first times we played it, and it was all, like, offline, like, nothing was streamed or being recorded or anything like that. Um, and then we played it God, that was, like, a year and a half ago, I think the last time we played it.
yeah,
I can't remember, but yeah, that was
just
it for me.
it
I mean,
got
it was
kinda crazy,
funny, and it was
man.
a
Yeah,
good
some of
time,
it's
and it was
funny, yeah,
fun, but then it's like,
but we
I
had
don't
more
wanna click
fun
that again.
yeah, but, like, we had more fun just, like, when we found our avatars that we wanted, right?
Yes.
We went to a place where they did private stuff where you can play games and shit like that. You didn't have to
Yeah.
deal with the other stuff.
Yeah,
It's
we
fun
could,
to
you know?
converse, like, when, there was a time, like, way back, it was, like, fucking 5 years ago or whatever when we first played, almost 6 years ago when we first played, and, we were, we went to, like, the nightclubs where everybody's just and we were just, like, it was like nobody else was fucking there. We were just having a blast, but it's like,
Yeah.
you can't always be in that situation. And then there's the other time, like, we're at the one where it was, like, they're having, like, it's like the house party fucking place,
Oh
remember?
my god.
And they had, like,
Fucking
the quote
Grover.
unquote camera in the closet and doing, like, uh, overtly adult things, like very sexual things with the camera. And I was like, "Why are you guys fucking doing it?" And there's always a little TV out there where you can watch it. But Mel went in like a fucking like the closet patrol and like stole their camera and like pissed them all
Yep.
off. And I can't remember. I think we were dressed like a fucking like a weasel or something, like a big weasel or something. I
Oh
was
my
a
god.
cat and you were like a weasel or something. And I remember you
Yeah,
went
you
in
were a
and like
cat.
snatched up the fucking camera, and everybody was like, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" I was like laughing so hard at that shit.
Causing chaos.
Oh my god.
That's what I mean, like, I'm kinda sad that, like, that wasn't recorded. I don't feel like that should have ever been streamed
Did we
because
go to
it's
B
just not
Club? I don't know if we did or
B
not. I
Club.
don't remember the names of any of those fucking places, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Um,
I can't remember where I get like the cool avatars from. I have to go in and like search the avatar places and hope I fall into the places I've already been to get like the cool Dragon Ball avatars. Or the, like, game-breaking ones that you can, like you put on, like, the giant mech avatar. It's, like, massive, and it takes up a lot of fucking a lot of virtual RAM when you're, like, fucking in there, and then you go into random lobbies and see who's got a potato and just, like, fry their computer. Not fry it, but, like, crash it, crash the game. They'd be like, "What the fuck?"
Wait, how do you know if people have a crappy computer?
Because if they're running the lobby and the lobby you get booted from it, then you know that you crashed it. Yeah,
Oh.
and it usually happens to somebody, like, with a very, elaborate avatar comes in. If you're using a potato computer and you come in with like for instance when Chris and I were playing the last time, and I had the giant fucking mech, like the fucking huge fucking thing that wouldn't even fit in like half the maps we went into, just for like a minute when I was playing with it, and yeah, like you can go into like somebody's with that, like you can just kind of like um server hunt, like hop between them and stuff, and see if you like destroy. If he like kicks you out, then it's because that instance was like ruined, is my
You
understanding.
broke their game
Yeah, I essentially, like, crashed the game for that person.
on purpose.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
That's evil. That's evil. I would just assume it's just a fluke that that happened, but
it's poorly
some people are
optimized
fun
and
with that.
everything else on top of it. Honestly, it's just, like I mean, if you remember when we first started playing VR Chat, like, I didn't have a PC. I had my shitty
Oh
ass
yeah,
little
I was on
crap
Dennis's
top,
PC.
and,
Do you remember that?
yeah,
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
there was only
That's how he
two
got me
two
a
of us that
PC.
had a PC at the time, remember? Like, the rest of us had,
Yeah.
like, laptops, like, Queen had a crap top like I did, we essentially ran, like, the same
Yeah, I
fucking
think
program.
Chris had a crop top.
Yeah, all 3 of us,
Um,
and we were all
my
having, like, issues.
laptop didn't run games. I never tried it to be
Mine
honest.
only
It would
ran
just use
games because
MSNs.
I optimized it to run games, but it barely ran. So that's why we were able to
Yeah.
play like 7 Days to Die, but that was back in like Alpha 17 or 18 or some shit back when it was
God,
like still like wasn't as big as it is
that's
now.
very true. Yeah, God, I forgot about that a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't know what D
Yeah.
Club is or B Club. I don't know
D
what C
Club,
Club
B
is. I
Club,
don't know.
A Club.
It sounds like it either sounds like a clothing store or like an exclusive club
Oh,
for chicks
is
with
it
like
the
B Cup
Black
boobs.
Cat place? I was
It's
reading
a
about
naughty
that.
club. Okay.
The Naughty
Yeah, I
Club.
haven't been to
Oh
any
my
actual naughty
God.
clubs or nothing like that.
Now I'm curious.
I've only been to one strip club my entire life, and it was just such a weird
In GTA?
experience. No, like in life,
Oh, okay.
like real life, and it was such a weird experience that like I guess I kind of stray away from weird shit like that. It's funny in like GTA and stuff like that, but like I feel like VR chat would make it a little too real. And
I feel like if I went to a strip club, like in real life, I would just be too interested in having like a legitimate conversation with the girl, and she'd be like, "Oh, you
she's
want to
not
have
trying
drinks?"
to
And
have
I'd
a
be like,
conversation with you.
and then I'll be like, "Here, you want some money? Okay, so tell me about your life."
Absolutely not trying to have a conversation with you. She wants
No,
like
I'm
40
legit just
bucks.
no, I'll give her the money, but I just want a doctor, let's just hang out. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't
"Hey, sit
want
down and
I
have a
wouldn't
drink
want
with me." Like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, like, legit, and she'd be like, "You wanna rent a private room?" I'm like, "Can we play Monopoly?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure." I'm like, "Alright, cool." I'm, like, making up these scenarios. We're just, like, fucking playing Jenga in the private room.
Oh, is it
Oh,
I
man,
mean,
that
you
sounds
go into a
fun.
private room, it's probably a game of chance, but I don't think it's fucking Jenga.
Actually, I was watching some girls, they don't make videos anymore on, YouTube, but they were 2 strippers, and they were in Australia, and one of the things, like, you could do in the private rooms is just play, like, board games with them or, like, watch a show together.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, she's like, "It's not all just, like, lap dances and private
Well, that's
time,
fucking
you
they
know,
must
with
do
the
that shit
girl."
there then, huh?
Like, guys just wanna, like, hang out and, like, have drinks, but
I don't know, I just know I was bought a lap dance, and it was very aggressive and uncomfortable, and, like
Did you, like, pay her to stop?
no, I didn't well, I mean, she was working, so I didn't wanna, like, interrupt and be like
Yeah.
I didn't wanna,
You're
like,
doing
put her
great,
out
but,
and be like
like
yeah, I was at the same time, I was just kinda it was just a weird, quiet experience at the same time, and I'm just like
Yeah.
I can imagine, like, you could hear dudes in, like, other booths that are just kinda like, "Yeah,"
Oh
shit
god.
like that, and I'm just
Oh
over
my
like,
god.
"This
Oh,
is awkward.
this is like
This is weird, like, how are you
that's
okay
too
with
much.
this?" You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
she
especially
was just
hearing
really
other
mean,
oh
man,
my
I don't
god.
know. Like, I feel like she was like a jackhammer in her past life or something odd.
A friend of mine was telling me a story about his first experience at a strip club, and he was like 18, 19, because that's how old you have to be here to go to the bars and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's very, very young. And so he got like a normal lap dance, whatever. And then the girl was like kept trying to like convince him to pay more, like, to get more, which is like 100% illegal. Like,
Nah,
that's
bro.
not allowed. Like,
That's
we're not
prostitution,
in
man.
Yeah, we're not in, like, some European countries, that's fine. We're not there. We're in Canada, and he was just so uncomfortable, like yeah, he's like, "'Kay, I'm here at a strip club, I'm not here to, like, get STDs."
Right? Like, went in for a
Yeah,
drink and a lap dance, came out with a clap and a fucking footache.
and she was, like, really pushing it too, like, really trying to, like, get that,
Like, girl, I understand you gotta make
upsell.
rent, we all do, but
Yeah,
that's not how you get your rent. It might
yeah,
be, but not for me. You're not getting it from me. Uh,
yeah, it's just
I think the thing about, like, strip clubs that made me feel kinda weird the most is just, like, how open and, like, "Look at this," that chicks are on the stage,
mhm.
and that's fucking weird to me, I don't know, like, I probably sound extremely odd saying this being a dude, but for me, like, I mean, example is just we're sitting there around the bar, and it's like it's one of those long bars that's got a pole in the middle, and the girls walk around it and dance, and we're all just like, we were legit having conversations about music and shit.
Yeah, and then there's
And
just some booties.
yeah, but we're all like, goth and scene guys, like fucking dressed in rocker shirts, and we get like chains and shit on, right? We don't look like everybody
Yeah,
else in the club. And the girl, I guess, was like a goth chick, so she was more in tune with us than she was all the guys who were actually like throwing money at her. And she
yeah.
came over there and like legit, I mean, like we were too close. Like I was too close. I could almost if I could see up almost into your birth canal, we're not we're not friends anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like
We're not
you've
friends
taken it to a
anymore.
level I don't want to be at. Like
Oh my
I don't
god.
know you. I don't need to know that part of you. If I did, I would like buy you a coffee outside this motherfucker and maybe get to know you a little bit. But I feel like I mean it was just like I didn't know she could do the splits, but I found out she could do the splits while she was still on her feet.
Damn,
Yeah, it was wild. And I was like,
that's pretty skilled.
Scary. It was scary in a way, man. I was like, I'd never been to a
Well,
strip.
I mean, the splits are skilled. I could not do
Yeah,
the splits. That's what
person.
I mean. If I went to a strip club, I would just wanna, like, chill and, like, support them financially, but, like, kinda let them have a break, you know?
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's like I don't mind. And this is kind of dates back to like what I also wanted to talk about when we were going to stream and stuff. Was like I don't mind people that work in the sex industry and stuff like that. Like if you have an OnlyFans and stuff like that, cool, man, rock on. Whatever
Oh, yeah.
makes you feel happy. If you're a stripper, cool. I don't care. That's your life choices. Like you're grown. You're allowed to make
Yeah,
those decisions. You know what I mean?
as long as
I'm
you're
not going to
willingly
disrespect you. You
doing
know?
it.
Yeah, like
Like,
willing. You're not
there's
forced into it. Yeah.
exactly. There's different situations where people are not willing at all and they
Yeah.
are being forced, and there's things happening behind the scenes, right? But as long as you're willing and consenting to that, yeah, 100% support it.
See, with my thing, it's like, but don't feel like I'm obligated to like want to be in a relationship with somebody like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I have the decision to make as well. Like you have the decision to make to lead that kind of life, but I have the decision to say that's not the type of woman I'd want a wife. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
what if you're already with her? let's say, okay, you're with her, you're happy, you've been together total, like,
Yeah,
5
like
years,
marriage bliss or
married
some shit.
for 2 years, and she was like, "Hey, Akio, like, I was kinda thinking, like, I really, wanna get into body, doing OnlyFans, maybe work at the strip club on the weekends. How do you feel about that?"
It's I mean, it's gonna change the dynamic of the relationship. It has to, because in that situation, like, you've already put yourself into like, a position where you've been fronted with this situation and you have to face it. So, like, in order to face it, you have to depend on it comes down to a lot of things. It comes down to your personal morals. It comes down to your personal decisions, what you're respectable with, what you're, like, accepted, what you accept rather, um,
Mhm.
and, like, what you consider to be acceptable. Like, there's, like, for instance, okay, obviously, I follow a lot of, like, cosplay girls and stuff like that on Instagram and stuff like that. And, like I so, a lot of people know her, but, Jessica Negri is very popular, right? She's a, um, cosplayer, and
Yeah.
she does, like, lewd stuff, but she never gets naked. And she's one of
Okay.
the only ones that has an only not OnlyFans, but a Patreon that doesn't have nudes. Like, she does not have nudes. She does not do nude strips or something like that. Nothing on those pictures. But a lot of girls do. You see what I'm saying? So,
Right.
like, if it was a
Yes.
situation where it was like that, like, I'm not gonna lose my shit. I'm not, insecure.
Right.
Okay, so I'm not gonna be like, "Oh, okay, whatever." Now, if I find out you're throwing like, taking your clothes off and you're, like, being overly sexual with dudes online and stuff like that, I mean, things are the dynamic's gonna change. I'm not gonna be comfortable with you. Because at this
Yeah.
point, I feel like there's a point where you're disrespecting me.
So, being sexual is fine, but if you're taking your clothes off, it's a problem.
No, not the being sexual, that's but I mean, like, taking pictures of yourself in, like,
Yeah.
bikinis for, Patreon or something like that, where you're, like or, like, kinda lewd cosplay that's not necessarily nude or nothing like that, because it's part of the culture now, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say, "Okay, you have to ignore this because it's constantly in your face." But there is a limit you have to have if you wanna be with someone, and you have to respect that people have their limits. And when you're with someone, like you're saying, 5 years, or you're
Yes.
married and you're happy with them, you have to understand that the respect that you have for them is also like it cannot be negated by your desires of like this type of freedom. You know what I mean? Like you have to understand that like you're in this with somebody else, and you can't just be like, okay, well, your feelings in the situation don't matter. I feel like doing this. That's all that matters. Like what the fuck? You know what I mean? I feel like
Yeah.
you've essentially said all the vows that you've taken and all the life that you've given and the love that you supposedly have, you've essentially thrown that out the window for your own kind of selfish like,
I know,
pursuits,
it totally goes 2 ways, though,
it
'cause
it can.
it's like, if you're the person like, okay, we're the person who doesn't wanna be, naked online. So if you're the person who doesn't wanna be naked online, right? If
Mhm.
you tell that person in your relationship, like, "No, you can't do that," it's like you're kinda taking that maybe that was, you know, a dream of theirs, I don't know. You're
Yeah, I
kinda
mean, you
taking that
never
away
know.
from them.
Yeah,
But then vice versa, if they're like, "No, I'm doing this, like, too bad, like, leave me or, like, get bent or whatever,
yeah,
or stay with me and just deal with it." And then, like, you have to change your own personal morals just
mhm.
to continue that relationship.
It's like nowadays you have this, I just feel like when you enter into a relationship, whether or not you wanna believe there's an obligation, you're obligated, to respect the other person's feelings.
Yeah,
That's
100%.
because, like, once you enter into that, that's no different than, like, a contract in real life of, like, actual documentation, like, but with this, it's deeper than that, it's emotion. A document can be ripped apart, okay? If you rip a person apart, they tend to not heal correctly, okay? A document can be retyped, a document can be re-signed, but a person's feelings can't always recover from the situation. So you have to take into account the fact that you're dealing with a life force, and as long as they're being fair in their assessment of the situation and that they're not just trying to like hold you down because they're insecure or like controlling or something like that, then they're respecting their opinion in the situation, I think is extremely important. But it's
Yes.
but like you said, it goes two ways. It could be if somebody's just being like, "Oh, well, that's bullshit. I don't want you to do it." Blah blah blah. And that's disgusting. And blah, it's like you're not giving a real argument there, and you're not giving a heartfelt argument. Like a
Yeah.
heartfelt argument is like where you reach deep down into yourself and you say, how do I feel about this? And how can I convey it in a way that doesn't make me look like I just don't want you to do anything? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
okay, let's find a compromise. Okay,
Exactly. Like, is
this
there a
is what,
compromise? Is there
yeah,
something you're comfortable with? Like, are
yeah.
you okay with bikinis, or is
Like,
it
let's
is
talk
that too
about it. You
much?
know what I mean? Don't
Right.
just, don't fucking, because I make jokes all the time. Like the foot fetish thing, it's a foot. Who gives a fuck? If you
Yeah.
can make $1,000,000 a fucking year putting your feet on the internet, like, splashing fucking goddamn honey on your fucking feet, go make money. It's feet, I'm grossed out by them. Somebody needs to appreciate them. Put your feet out there, I don't give a damn. But I'm just
If
saying,
they're gonna
like
pay 1,000,000
yeah,
bucks.
but they're, performing sexual acts with yourself or a friend online while you're in a relationship with someone. I feel like that should fall under the principle of, "I shoulda talked to them about this," and that goes both ways too, like you said, like, dudes can do shit like that too. Like,
Yeah, very
I've
true.
heard stories where dudes have, like, they've got quote unquote "friends," just friends, they've been friends with them for years, and they ask them to be in these videos and these like in order to enact these weird fantasies to make money, and stuff. And it's like the guy's
Yeah.
supposedly not into it or nothing. But I'm gonna tell you right now, anybody who knows anything about men, especially me being a dude who knows men's anatomy, if you don't want to fucking do something, your body's not gonna let you fucking do it. If you're in a position where you want to fucking do something, deep down, you're gonna be good to go. No blue
I
pill
mean, there's,
intended.
like, medication for that, just saying.
Yeah, but I'm just you can't fake that drive though. You can't.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
It's there, and it's in both sexes. Like, well, females are better at faking emotional states than men are because of the way they've had to train themselves over the years. I'm a firm believer of that because, like, I feel like women have had to put up more of a front than men have because men have always been socially accepted in every circle. We've always been socially accepted in sports. We've always been socially accepted in business, technology, the food industry. I mean, it's things as simple as that, right? Like most of the time, honestly, and I read something about this actually a little while back, and they were talking about it was around the time like fairs and stuff were coming around. They were talking about food trucks. Um, Men are more likely to go buy beer at a food truck from a man who looks like he's kind of been in the business for a while than they would a young woman because they feel like the food's gonna be shit. I kid you not. I read a
Really?
lot of these fucking reviews and people were like, "Well," I was just like and they were asking, they're like, "Well, why was everybody at this one?" Because they noticed in the lineup, there's like, there's tons of different food trucks. You got like taco trucks, you got like fucking hamburger trucks, you got hot dog places, right? What's the big fucking funnel cakes and stuff, like, they're all in there with these big, these fairs, these concerts and things like that, and they noticed that there was a young lady that was running her food truck, and it was her and a couple of her friends, and they were all chicks, and they were, like, I guess, in for today's societal standards, they weren't, like, 10s, you know what I'm saying? They were, like, 6s or 7s or some shit, I guess,
Yeah, okay,
so
yeah.
that's not enough room for the guys to be like, "Okay, well, now I'll go over there," you know what I'm saying? So they went to the dude because they assumed the dude would make better food. Now they did do, like, a taste
Interesting.
test afterwards, and the 3 girls actually had better food, and they were younger and more inexperienced, but they had more heart, and they had better food than the old
Mhm.
guys truck that the dudes kept going to out of the, like, the like, the
That's
sexist type
crazy.
situation because they just felt like that, and it's like that's like I'm saying, like, men have always had the forefront of being, like, here we are, like, they're always in the heads of business and stuff like that. Like, when you look at the richest people in the world, like, of course, Oprah's made the list, but if you look at all the people around her, they're all dudes,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Because men have
yeah.
more opportunities. They've always had more opportunities until recently to, climb the corporate ladders and, like, the business ladders like, movies and things like that, right? And, like, men have always had more of a forefront to that stuff because, like, most directors are male. Like, female directors are just now the huge breakout.
It's the same with, like, streaming too, like, I feel like females in general kinda get this reputation, like, "Oh, if you stream, you're automatically gonna get all these follows and whatever
Yeah, I
because you're
call
a
bullshit on
female."
that too.
But, yeah, if you look at and it was leaked, like, the top earners on Twitch are, like I think it's, like, the top 20 or 30 or it's a big chunk of them
Oh,
are
yeah,
all
they
men.
showed their earners. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember
Yeah,
when that
it's
leaked like 2 years
all
ago.
men. And, like, I don't know what number it gets to a girl, but it's not even many in the top
Oh,
earners
and
are
and
actually
it's like
female.
people are and Amaranth wasn't even in the top 20. She was like she's one of the huge
Really?
biggest earners on, Twitch ever, and she was not in the
That's
top 20
crazy.
when they leaked all that. I think she was like, 22 or 23 or something like that, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
it's
She was
wild.
still up there, but I mean, that says a
Yeah,
lot, you know what I mean?
it's very dominated by men.
And that's just in general, that's a and well, women also have a reputation, like, before people get to know them, that they're essentially, like showing their bodies in order to get views. Now, there are a lot of women who
Yeah,
go overboard with that shit, right? So they
there
cause that
is.
stereotype,
Yep,
but not all women are like that,
yep.
right? Not all women are overly lewd. Not all women are like, "Oh, look at this." Not they're not like, and I'll almost circle back to this in a minute, just because it's a huge topic to me, and I really want to just talk about it, and I want your opinion. But they're not all like licking a microphone that has two ears hooked to the side of it. you know,
Wait,
or
what?
fucking ASMR and shit like that. I can't stand ASMR. I'm sorry.
Microphones have ears?
ASMR microphones have ears
I haven't
to
okay,
where
I've dove a little bit into the ASMR stuff because there's this one girl somebody recommended to me, and she makes music, ASMR
uh
music kind of
well,
stuff,
that's
and
music's
it's
different
really good.
in my opinion.
But then I got, more, like, recommendations,
Yeah,
for other ASMR people, and sometimes I click them, and I'm like, "Ooh," and
it's
then I
weird.
click it, I'm like,
It makes me feel
"Hmm."
uncomfortable sometimes. Yeah.
I'm like, "What is this?"
I cannot watch ASMR. I will not watch ASMR. I will support all my friends when they do things, but if anybody does ASMR, I'm sorry, that's the one I'm bowing out of. I can't help it. I can't do it. It's just it weirds me the fuck out, man. Like the music thing, like I could see, like the music thing, because like somebody with a really soft voice can, that sings really low but plays like acoustic guitar or something. Like they can be classified as ASMR because that's what ASMR is actually supposed to be. It's been kind of perverted over the
Okay.
years,
Yeah.
and now they make
Yes.
these things called ASMR microphones, and the microphone is like okay, so like the right ear is like in tune to the right ear cuff of a headset, just like you would a
Okay.
speaker, and the left, to the left ear cuff. So like, and they're very sensitive. So they have like tons of little tiny microphones around the insides of the rims of the microphones themselves, or the earpieces themselves, so that when they lick them and stuff like that, like you get all those little pops and clicks, like it sounds from,
Interesting.
yeah, and it's like dudes will legit go and like sit through those streams and they love it, and I'm just like, it fucking grosses me the fuck out. I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. But I get why
That's
you do it. If you
interesting.
want to do it, that's fine,
Yeah.
whatever. But I'm like, it's not for me. I'm not.
I mean, everybody has their fetish, and
Yeah.
some people just wanna make money off those fetishes.
But that type of
It's like
stuff
the
is,
feet thing. You don't get the feet thing, but if someone wants to pay you
yeah,
$1,000,000 for a
yeah.
picture of your feet, you're down.
I'm
That's I
saying,
guess that's what they think about ASMR and licking mics with
yep.
ears.
That's why I said
That's
it's not
wild.
my thing, but a lot of people might like because they'll have like 1,000 people in there watching them, and I'm like, okay. But at the same time, like, you can't to get back on point, like, you can't classify all women under that stereotype because men are like that
Yeah.
too. Like, the men stereotype is like, the dudes who are essentially just dickheads, right? They're dickheads to their chats, they're dickheads to females, and so, like,
Or like
those
the rage gamers.
yeah, and they get a lot of a lot of views because people are, they like that stuff, they think it's great, and but that's a stereotype that every men are like a lot of the men are gonna be jerks or something, and they're not. Like, we're just trying to play games.
Exactly.
But
Yeah,
that's
that's
like, the
true.
stereotypes are all over the place, and that's, definitely in the streaming and stuff like that,
Yeah,
it's a huge
I've
thing.
noticed too, because like when I do try and find like new streamers and I'm just like browsing all the games, I do gravitate towards watching girls.
Mhm,
I'm more interested at the end of the day. Especially when it's new people. And I do notice that like quite a few I gravitate towards people who have cams, that interaction and
mhm.
stuff. And lots of these girls, they'll have a very like I don't know how to describe it, but they just show their boobs.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
They have a certain shirt on, and you can tell they
A
are
very low
purposely
cut, and, like,
very low
eh,
very big push-up
some side
bra,
boob or something.
and it's like, would you even go in public looking like that type of look? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
they kinda, like, lean over even a little bit so you can kinda get a better view from the camera. And I'm like, what are you doing?" Like, I don't
like, where's
know.
your
To
limit?
me, like, that's like, before I stream, there's times I will change my shirt
Yeah,
to
because
make
you feel
sure I
like it's
look a little more
overly, yeah, yeah, yeah.
covered. Yeah, than I would in, like, real life what I would wear because it's a stream, and then there's people who do the complete opposite of that. And
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
"Oh my
Yeah.
god."
Way different.
Yeah, it kinda bugs me a little bit, but I get it. As long as they're comfortable and
Well, I think I
consenting and
gravitate
they're
more
down for it.
towards female streamers just because I feel like they interact better with, their chat sometimes.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Like,
I'll come
they
into,
make
like,
you feel a lot more
random
comfortable.
I'll come into, like, this is obviously, like, putting people in boxes, but just
Mhm.
overall, this is what I've noticed. But if I go into, like, a female's, like, streamer, like and I gravitate towards smaller streamers, so, they only have, like, a couple viewers or less than 10 viewers for sure,
Yeah, yeah.
and the female will, like they'll talk to you, they'll ask you how
Uh-huh.
your day is, and if you don't respond right away, they'll ask you again, they'll ask you another follow-up question, like, it's more of a conversation, and then even if you drop a follow, like, they're trying to, like, chat with you and whatever,
Yeah.
and then guys are just like, "Oh, thanks for the follow." Back to the
Yeah, you
game.
get that a lot of times. It's just it kinda goes down that road. That's the reason why
Yeah,
the majority of the whether it's VTubers or anything else that I follow are the ones that I feel are a little bit more personable because I feel like being personable is the reason like you're there for entertainment. Okay.
Yeah.
Ultimately, this is the first thing you're doing. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, for you, there's got to be a point where you're there for you because you enjoy doing it, you like doing it, and you want to be able to experience that with other people. But if you're not entertaining, people aren't going to fucking watch it. And one of the
Exactly.
means of entertainment is being able to connect with people who are there for the entertainment. So,
Yeah.
like, if you can't do that, then you're kind of ruining not just the show, but you're kind of ruining your image for these other people. Because now word of mouth, which is still the most absolute powerful fucking advertising that you can have on the fucking planet. I don't give a damn how much you're online. I don't give a damn how many tweets you post a fucking day. It doesn't matter. If somebody says, "Nah, they're kind of boring," that's a viewer you lost. Okay, in any situation, doesn't matter what it is. Like that's somebody who said, "Nah," and most of the time they're going to be like, "Okay, well, I trust you," because that's how finicky people are with other people's opinions when they're close to someone. And
Mhm.
if you give one person that bad impression, then and it might be a dickhead, and it does happen. Like, you're not everybody comes in is gonna be fucking reasonable. I mean, we all know that shit. I mean, half of us have gotta be therapists, or at the very least, explain to people we're not fucking therapists before the fucking stream can even move forward because, we get trauma. But it's like, the situation is that if I don't feel comfortable in your stream, like, I'm probably not gonna come back as much. I might give you a follow and stuff like that, but you'll pop up on, like, the "Now I'm live,"
Yeah.
list, but the chances of me coming to you, gravitating to you towards in comparison to, like, 15, 20, 30, which sometimes when I'm on, there's, like, fucking 50 people online, that's a
Yeah.
very slim chance. That's like a 0.883 out of 50 people, you know what I'm saying, that I might come see you
Yeah.
because you didn't make me feel like coming back, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have fun. Like Cal, for instance, like Cal's very in tune with her chat. Like, even when she's raiding, she still tries to like she has what we call the raid face when she's like raiding in Final Fantasy. Like, you have to focus when you're raiding. You can't help it because if you fuck up, then the whole team could fuck up. But
Yeah.
she'll still like she circles back to it, like she always tries to, and you do the same
Yeah.
thing. Like, you play the game and you'll go back and you'll read 50 chats back if you have to, just to make sure you're, staying in tune with your viewers and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And that's and sometimes
And
I feel like you
it's
can go overboard, in my
I
opinion.
know.
Like, but
Well, if
I
I'm
still at the same time I
playing
appreciate that you do it
if I'm
because
playing by myself, I will. If I'm, like, playing with people,
yeah, it's different.
I, like,
Yeah,
mute Discord and then I kinda skim and, like, sum things up
yeah,
and
you
kinda
nitpick
go
and
through it
stuff. Yeah,
quicker. But, yeah, if I'm just playing by myself, I'm like, "You know what? I'll chat with you guys.
I just
Like,
feel
there's
and it
nobody waiting on me. You guys are talking. I'm more than
yeah.
happy to."
Well,
But,
I don't
yeah.
seem like it's like a bad thing that you're doing it. I just feel like it's
Yeah.
it's a strain on you because now it's like you're not only are you trying to play the game, but now you have
Yeah.
to read back. So now you're like trying to, and then there's going to be parts where you don't understand what the fuck's going on.
Well,
When
and
you're
then what
reading
happens
back
with
50
me,
fucking
though.
chats, 20 chats or something like that, you're like, wait, what? And then you have to like read up more. Oh yeah, they were talking about this. So like that's the type of situation I find myself in because my brain's just not going to quick fire that shit like some of y'all does.
I find sometimes though when I am reading back, like I'll like read somebody's comment and then I'll respond to it and then I'll start ranting about something else and that will remind me of this like one thing that happened last week and then I'm just
Oh,
like, fuck, this is not reading chat anymore. This is me being
this is
sidetracked.
just me, like, explaining something that you guys
Yeah.
probably didn't even know was coming, like, right out of fucking
Yeah.
left field.
And then that's why I get even further behind. Sometimes I'm trying to get better to not get sidetracked when I'm so far behind.
Literally
Or
every
at least like
discussion I ever
apologize.
have in life, I think,
Yeah. Oh my
I always
god.
wind up getting, sidetracked because, like, the thing is, like, you wouldn't think about it because 'cause I'm a very introvert, I really am, and I don't talk to people very much in person. But when I do and you get me on a conversation, like, for instance, I'm a nerd, man. I'm an absolute fucking geek. So if you get me talking about Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, like, any of those huge epic series and stuff like that, you fucked up because I'm gonna circle back to that 1,000 times over. And, guess what? I'm gonna elaborate. So now not only were you talking to me about episode 3, but now you get to understand why everything happened in episode 3 pertaining to episode 1, 2, and then why it followed up into 4, and you didn't ask for this, but you've subjected yourself to this situation because that's what happened, and I'm the same way, so, like, it'll be something simple like, "Hey, you think Padme was a good character?" I'm like, "Alright, well, let me explain to you why I think she was a good character," and it could just
And then
go
give
there,
a
"But I
whole
think she was a
backstory.
good leader, and I believe she was, like, the
Wait,
perfect mate and blah, blah,
Padme
blah."
wait.
"Don't you
Okay,
do it,
Padme
Mel.
is
Don't do it."
the wait, no, no, no. I have a fun fact. She's the one that has like she's the mom of like Princess Leia and Luke, right?
"Aye." Yep.
'Kay. So did you know when they filmed that scene, of when she had the babies, it was actually the same baby for both?
Yeah,
Oh,
yep.
okay.
Think I would know that?
I tried. That's a
I
really fun
appreciate the
fact to
fact that you
have.
have, like, that lore in the background like that, that's pretty fucking amazing. That's like, I'm very impressed, to be honest. This is
Thanks.
very fucking impressed.
I try. Yeah, that was my fun Star Wars fact.
Hey, that's cool. I was like, that's actually a really good one that's, like, out of pocket that most people wouldn't think about. Like,
I don't have
it
anything else. I
it's
wasn't even
okay.
sure about the
Like,
names.
well, this is the thing, you can use that because, like, if you hear, your friends talking about it, be like, "Oh, man," he's like, "I read this, like, really cool fact about, like, Padme Amidala and blah, 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 and the kids, and they were, like, actually the same baby in the situation," and, like, somebody might not know, they're like, "What the fuck?" Now,
Yeah.
that's a situation where it could either backfire on you, or you could be like, "Cool as shit," and you can just kinda bonk out before the conversation goes, "Oh," like, "Oh, shit, hold on, I need to go to the restroom," and just, like, steer away from that conversation for the rest of the night, right? But in some situations, they'll be like, "Oh, shit, but," and then, like, you're roped into this conversation, and now you don't know shit. So you have to so, yeah,
I
it's
just
like, it could be
embrace
really
that I
good,
don't
but it
know
could be
shit.
really
It's
bad, so
okay.
I think that's
If it
the
doesn't
thing
go
that
well, I'm just like, "Well, that's fine.
well, that's what
It is
saves
how
you,
it
I
is."
think, because, like, you're honest enough to say, "Yeah, I don't understand that." Like, anytime I try to give you all the tech talk, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, well, this and this, and if I didn't have to do this," and you're just like, "Yeah, you lost me at, like, computer."
Yeah, it's usually I think because Dennis does the same thing with the tech talk or the
Yeah,
car
yeah.
stuff and whatever, and then my brain starts to shut down, and then I realize my brain's shutting down, and then I'm like, "Oh, I should pay attention. I haven't been paying attention. Oh, no, I still have not paid attention. Crap, what did they say? Wait, what are they talking about? Crap, I'm
Yeah.
not paying attention." It's just getting worse
I do the
until I'm
same
like, "Oh
thing
my
with
god."
different stuff too. Like the geek
Yeah.
stuff, I can jump right into that shit. But when it comes down to like normal everyday like conversations about like stuff that I should think about, like I'm like, wait, I haven't pondered this as much as I should because I'm across the bridge when I get there kind of dude. And I've always kind of
Yeah.
been that way because I don't want to over like when I was younger, I used to over condense my brain. And what I mean is just like I would take in a whole bunch of shit and then I would try to figure all that shit out at once. And it just got to the point where it was so overwhelming that I was just physically and emotionally exhausted all the time. So like nowadays, like for I don't know, past 5, 6, 7 years, I just kind of like take everything in stride, and I'm just like, okay, I'm the type of person that a lot of people wish they could be when it comes to leaving their job. Like when you like I always tell everybody, I'm like Bob Kelso, and for people who've never seen Scrubs, they're not going to understand that that term, but, Bob Kelso, what he does is he's like the chief of medicine in the
Mhm.
TV show Scrubs, and when he leaves, he'll, like even if somebody dies, he'll be really sad about it when he's in the hospital, like, you can see it in his face, like, you can read his emotion, but then
Yeah.
when he steps off that bottom step, he'll smile and start whistling, and he'll just, like, walk on because it's like it's a metaphor to saying when you leave work, work is work, right? And unless you don't have to take it with you, don't take it with you. So it's like
Yeah.
I like finally figured out how to do that, and when I tell people I do that, they're like, "How the fuck do you do that?" I'm like, "I just shut off." Like, I realize I have things at home I need to worry about, so I think about the home stuff, right? I think about the video games I'm gonna play that night. I think about the art that I wanna finish up. I think about, my upcoming podcast. There's, like, different things I can think about, right? I wonder what my friends are doing. So you don't have to deter to that. And, like, nowadays, that's how I live. I live, like, across that bridge when I get there. Sometimes there's a fucking toll for doing that shit, but I cross the bridge, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
wanna overexert my brain. My brain's just, like, too much. I run from
Yeah.
situations like that now.
Yeah, I for work, like, sometimes I would get way too into it. Like, over the years, I gotten better and better, and then now I've gotten a point I haven't gone back to work yet. It's been over a year, but when I eventually go back to work, I've gotten to a point, like, just none of it's fucking worth it. None of it.
Yeah, to
I
lose your
haven't
mind
thought
over work.
about any of the shit that, like, used to stress me out or used to bother me. It hasn't crossed my mind for, like, over a year, and
It
why should
opens a
it bother me
peace
when I
in
go
you.
back?
Like, there's such
Sorry?
a peace that you find inside yourself when you can kinda leave that shit alone. People don't
Yeah,
realize
it's
that just
just
walking away from that situation, even for temporary means, so
yeah.
good for your mind.
You just do your time. If you have to count down till the day's done, you count down till the day's done, go home, and then you just let it be.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I could never do a job that I'm, like, quote, unquote, "on call."
Yeah,
Fuck
fuck
that.
that.
Like
That's why I kept
that's
my current management position in the company where I am now, I've been there for 10 years, and
yeah.
they always approach me with, "Would you like to move up? Would you like to do this?" And I'm like, "No, I don't," because
Yeah.
I'm still at this point where, like, okay, I can come in really early, I can leave really early, I got plenty of time left in my day, I'm not overly stressed, I don't have to deal with the phone calls at 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, right? I
Yeah,
don't have to deal with that shit.
exactly.
I don't want that
Emails,
shit. Yeah, I don't want that
follow-ups,
shit.
meetings,
I don't wanna take a vacation and come back to an entire fucking Office 365 fucking, um, email
or
box full of like, "Hey, like, we need this, we need this. Did you do this? Hey, did you get this? You get this?" And it's all stuff I have to answer because nobody else has the answers, right? Like, fuck that.
or when you're in a job where you take a vacation and they're contacting you the entire time you're on vacation.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's so messed up.
I've been off
Like,
work and they've asked me stuff, and I told them if it's something very small, it's fine. But if it's something that they can know they can figure out themselves, they're just trying to find an easy way out, don't fucking call me because I'm gonna
uh,
ignore the shit out of you. And I've told them
I'm
that.
just like, I'm on vacation. I don't
Yeah.
respond. Even, like, there was a situation that I, like, literally left work. I was there a little bit late that day because, like, sometimes, it gets busy at certain times of the year in
Yeah, yeah.
finance. So I was there a little bit late. It wasn't that bad, but, like, I was done. I was going home. I left the office. I was walking down, so I was still downtown at the time. I was walking downtown down the street. My phone rings. It's my boss. And I was like, "No.
Right, no.
I was in that
On my
building,
time,
like,
bro.
3 minutes ago. You missed me. Too bad." Like, let me go. And I didn't answer that call, and the next morning I was like, "Oh, what did you need? Oh, I figured it out. Oh, okay, that's nice. Why did you
That's
call
good.
me then?"
You should have fucking done that in the first place. Don't bother me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'm
we
like,
have that
"Why
kind
would
of
you?"
understanding, like myself and my supervisor, we have that understanding. Because, like, for the most time, I've told you, most of the time I'm by myself. I work alone,
Yeah,
like all day. So I'm with my thoughts. I've got plenty of time to figure out my stuff. I don't have no distractions or nothing. So I do my job uh, exactly how I should, if not better, because I have that ability to do so. I don't have any of those distractions. They do pop up from time to time, but I don't have them. So it's kind of worked in my favor in that way as well.
yeah,
But we have an understanding. Like, it's I don't bother him when he's on vacation,
yeah,
and he don't bother me. So,
yeah.
like, there's only been a couple times where it's been dire situations where they've gotten in touch with me, and they know that if they're gonna call me or text me or something, like, it better be fucking important because 'cause I'm probably in my, like, 50th hour of goddamn Stardew Valley or some shit while I'm on vacation. Leave me the fuck alone. Like, I tell them 'em I'm a gamer, man. I'm a gamer. I do a lot of artwork and stuff like that. I mod in streams and stuff. I was like, I try to stay busy with that stuff. It's
Yes,
it's important to me, so I try to stay busy
yeah,
with it, and I need to
and you
make sure
enjoy
they're
it.
out of my fucking head while I'm trying to do it. Yeah, because like, you can enjoy it when you're stressed out over something else that's happening in the background. It's hard to fully put
Exactly.
yourself into that situation. You can't immerse yourself in your happiness when something's dragging you down.
Yeah,
Fuck
yeah, exactly. I mean, life is hard enough with, like, outside of work
that. Yeah.
problems and things and relationships and
Speaking
all
of,
that good.
so I was like, we were talking about it earlier. Like, I'm always on Instagram. Like, I watch a lot of reels and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
Like, a lot of funny shit, man. I'm constantly sending y'all shit. I know y'all are probably like, oh god, what the fuck.
I can't keep up. I try my
I
best,
send
but
y'all
I
so much
honestly
shit,
fir
and you're not
first
the only
thing,
one that I do it to. I send Chris shit
since
all
I
day
got the new
long. I
phone,
send Queen shit all day
I
long.
can't log into my Instagram on my phone, so I'm on it less,
Oh,
and then when I'm on it on my computer, I try not to get too sidetracked with because when I'm on my computer, I'm
oh
sitting
yeah, I
here,
don't
like,
blame
getting
you.
work done.
Yeah,
I have many jobs,
yeah, you got a lot, a
sorts.
lot of editing and stuff to take care
So
of.
yeah, so it's better to when I had it on my phone because it's more like when I'm chilling in bed, I could just, like, watch those videos. So the problem I'm the problem, hi.
Well,
But
my
anyway,
thing, it
sorry.
doesn't bother me when people don't, like, respond to them or something like that. I'm sending it
Yeah.
because I thought it was funny, and I thought maybe you might think it's funny, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not one
yeah.
of those situations where I'm like, I'm gonna cry in the corner because you didn't respond to my cat doing a
This is actually an
backflip or some shit,
intervention
you
being
know what I
like,
mean?
"Hey, Mal, you didn't
Yeah.
reply to every single reel I
Well, I
sent you in the
noticed
last
more than
20
anything, like,
days."
the ones that you reply to the most are, like, the ones that are, like, they pertain to something that we've already discussed or something like
Ye
that, like the other day when we were having a discussion, and then, like,
Yeah.
the Muppet stuff because we have that in common, you know what I mean? And then, like, and that stuff just kinda hits home for both of us, so we can
Yes.
bullshit around about that pretty easy. It kinda sticks out like a sore thumb. It's like if I'm going through an entire photo album of, like, random pictures, and then I see a picture of Darth Vader, for some reason, I'm fixated to Darth Vader. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
because it's like you find interest in those things, you pick them out of a lineup, you notice them, like, a lot faster. So it's easier to get a rise out of it, but, yeah, I'm not gonna like, my feelings don't get hurt when nobody responds. I'm like, I'm essentially just trolling you guys without trolling you guys, so you
Yeah,
kind
I'm
of
the same
ignore the
way.
majority of it. But yeah, I watch a lot of Instagram stuff, you know, and, like, I saw this thing the other day that I thought was really interesting. That's what I was telling you earlier. I'd been thinking about for like, you know, a week and a half, 2 weeks or something like because I found it very fucking interesting. And it
Yeah.
was this girl was on there, and she all she said was, and she's you know she's like super dolled up, and she's got all kinds of makeup and stuff, right? And no, I don't throw rocks at Mel because she doesn't quite understand the punishment.
So random.
I throw things at Cal all the time, like, I'll pop in the stream, like, if I haven't heard from her in the morning or something, I'll just, like, randomly throw a rock at her or, like, taunt her or something like that.
I don't have that option on my stream either, so I don't give you the opportunity.
Oh, no,
If you
it's like
had the
when we're talking
opportunity
in
to
Discord,
throw
I do it.
rocks. Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. It's
You're
like when
so
we're
mean.
talking in Discord, I just throw shit, like, we'll just be, like, something to happen or she won't say anything, and I'll throw a rock at her or, like, a pillow or something, just whatever I can find in the gifts that, cause physical harm.
No, yeah,
And she's
I
like,
can see
"Why?"
that
And
every
I'm
time.
like, "Because you deserve it," or, like, "Because I felt like
Shaking
it,"
my
or
head.
something like that. Just depends.
No.
I'm only mean to everybody because I care about you guys. If I didn't care about you, like, if I get like, I would ghost you. Like, if I didn't care about you, I would ghost you. Like, you'd be ghosted. Like, trust me, because I'm the type of person nowadays back in the day, I tried to please everyone, but nowadays, I'm the type of person, like, if I'm not interacting with you or if I'm
Yeah.
not answering your interactions, it's because you don't fit my life to the point where it's gonna benefit me in a positive manner. And that's
I
what
think
you
that's,
have to look at in life. You have to keep the people in your life close to you that benefit you in a positive way, not necessarily like a financial or like any kind of way like that, but
yeah.
just a positive way. Like they bring light and joy to your life. So if I'm throwing shit at you, it's because you mean something to me.
I
So
think with us
take my
too, like,
punishment.
I don't know, like, the frequency, but we don't message each other, like, all the time.
Uh,
But it just, like, when we do, we respond.
yep,
You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
we'll send a couple messages back and forth, and then it'll be, like, crickets.
Or it'll be like just a reaction or something to let you guys know, be like,
Yeah.
hey, we're still
Or,
here.
like, a
Yeah.
GIF or
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But we all have that
It's not
understanding too that we all have a lot going on in our lives and we have things that kind of pull us away from that social interaction. So it's easier for like the four of us being best friends for so long that we
yeah.
can kind of read each other like fucking books, right? We all know we've got shit going on. So
Yeah.
it makes it that much easier.
Yeah, for sure. And,
But
like,
yeah,
if I see somebody streaming and I'm on my computer, then, yeah, I'm freaking there.
yeah,
But I'm not, like, every day, like,
you might be
"Hey,
lurking,
look."
you know what I'm saying? Because you're still doing other things. Everybody's got shit going on, you know?
And
Like
then, like, for
I
me too, when I, like, message people too often, I get very overwhelmed. It's such a weird me
yeah.
problem, but, like,
Well, I mean,
I'll
it
have,
happens to
like, too many
everybody, I think.
conversations going that I usually just, like, stop, like, responding to people entirely, and then I don't mean to do it on purpose, but then it seems like I just, like, drop off in the middle of a conversation.
I do
But,
that too, though.
yeah.
It's just
Well, I do it as
because
well so that I don't notice that you do it, so I
just
don't
get
take it
peeled out.
personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to say, man, you like bot swatting like a boss today. It's like they're popping up left and fucking right. It's insane. Like the bots have been just like they're getting around all the programs and stuff. They don't show up in the programs anymore. Nothing, man. Bots are just like, getting very creative. I don't know if it's a code change or what. And they're not being picked up by the like the info
I have
bots
no idea.
that find them or what. But they're just not showing up in any of the lists anymore. None of the listed bots are even there anymore at all. Yeah, was that
Ooh, what?
Kitty Cat Simulator game? What, are you a bot now? Did they steal you? They make you a bot?
Oh, don't click the link. I got a virus.
A cute kitty cat popped up on my screen. It makes me uncomfortable. Gotta be a virus.
If you clicked it, the little like trailer like did a link glitch.
Oh,
It looks freaking cute as hell.
I play
These
games
cats,
like that. I don't
it
give a
looks
fuck,
like they
man.
have.
That's how I am. I'm one of those people that's like, I
Oh
mean, you see me.
no,
I play like Sims and shit like that. I love it.
the
I don't
cat was
care.
on fire. Oh, it's not even out yet.
No.
This game, this comes out in May 2023. You know what else is in May 2023?
No.
My birthday.
It is.
Just putting it out there. But what did you see on Instagram?
Oh,
We got sidetracked a couple
yeah, there
times.
was this chick on there, and all she was saying was like, and it's like I said, it was one of these like cam looking girls, right? That has to doll up like 100% before she makes a 30-second video, and she's got like more makeup on her than like half a circus and shit. And she's just like, "Guys, I have, like, one question for you. Why do you not pursue?" And I'm just thought in my head I thought about that for a lot, a lot. I've been thinking about that. And I'm like, "Why don't we pursue? Why don't we
Why don't
pursue?"
guys pursue?
Yeah, why don't guys pursue? Because, like, and so I started reading into the stats and stuff, right? Because stats are interesting to me when it comes to stuff like that. But it turns out, like, the statistics behind, like, how many men actually hit on women nowadays, like, seriously hit on women, has dropped, like, 60% in the past, like, 3 years. Like, 60%, that's huge. You know how, like,
Really?
horn doggy
In the
guys
past
are?
wait, 3
In, like, the
years?
last 3 years, yeah, because of, social media and things like that and rejection. Guys are at the point nowadays where they're like, they just don't wanna be
Oh.
rejected, and, like, the thing is, like, so it's that's made me kinda deep dive more. So I've been doing this off and on constantly. So like my lunch breaks at work, I'm watching videos and reading, stats and looking at graphs and things like that that actually exist online. And I'm like, it's amazing to me, like how, in terms of when it comes down to relationships and things like that, women essentially decide if that relationship's going to exist. Okay. And the
Hmm, right.
majority of, and the reason why I say that is because, um, like women nowadays are less traditional than they used to be. Whereas, like,
Mm,
their expectations of a traditional man is still there. They want a man to take care of them. They want a man to, like, financially, take care of any situation. Because a lot of days, I mean, don't get me wrong, but I mean, if you look at this current generation in terms of our generation 10 years ago, or like say, you know, perhaps just the way you live and the way you were raised, right? Um, like females are like, they don't want to work and they don't want to do this. They want somebody to take care of them. And it's a fact. It's there. There are men that do that too. Don't get me wrong, but there is a lot more of that on the female side nowadays because they have social media outlets to kind of make life easier. Rather, like we were talking about earlier, you got OnlyFans, you got like Patreon, things like that. Now, don't get me wrong. This is not me like down in women or anything like that, obviously. But it's just like like stats that I've been kind of reading and like info that I've been kind of picking up on and stuff like that. And a lot of it's starting to kind of make sense because me as a male, like I have got to this point in my life where like I don't want to date. Like I don't want to date or anything. And it's not like the fear of rejection or anything like that. It's the
yeah.
fear of like it's hard enough to take care of myself and the people who need me to take care of them than it is
Yeah.
to accidentally stumble into a relationship where they're extremely fucking needy, right? And they need all these things to be happy. And if you love someone, you are willing to try to do all those things to be happy. So I'm kind of like I would rather just avoid that.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of it. Like I hate to say it, I'm afraid of it, but I'm actually afraid of it because I've been in those situations where, like, I've had exes that were very codependent is actually the word to look at. Like, they feel like if you're
Yeah.
not giving them attention constantly, there's something wrong with you.
Mhm.
You don't like them. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not taking them out to eat or something, and I'm like to the point where it dried up my bank account like scarcely. And I was like, man, I got people depending on me. I need this money. I can't keep fucking around with you in this situation.
I
And
know, and, like, I think, like, the whole date thing, I think part of that is I know for your situation, like, this was, like, way before social media, like, took over our lives, I
mm,
feel, like, to the extent it has today, but I feel like it gets worse nowadays with the whole, like, going on dates and stuff because you see so many people posting online, like, their dates with their partners, like, boyfriends, husbands,
yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
and then you're like, "Oh, but why am I not doing that? Like, why am I
yeah.
not a fancy restaurant? Why am I not getting that fancy fucking
And
or
that's what I was getting
melting
at with the
pot
social
thing,
networking
right?"
thing. Like everything's
Yeah.
so available and like the view is there.
Yeah. The comparison.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing is like being like
And then
comparing
guys
living
are
your
like,
life.
not everybody can make a six-figure income. That's the thing. Like it's just a simple fact. It's science that even if you go to college, you can't guarantee you'll get a good job. You can't. Like
Oh
the
yeah.
economy itself
Well, that's
does
the
not
thing too
state that
though.
just
Like,
because you go to 12 years of medical school, you'll be the brain surgeon that makes $350,000 a fucking year, right? It's not. It
if
can't
you're
guarantee it.
making 50K a year or 500K a year, you can still choose how do you want to spend that money.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
And like you don't just because you're making a lot of money doesn't mean you have to do these like
that's right.
elaborate fucking dates all the time or I don't know, rent a private jet and go to like New York for sushi. Like what the hell? Like
Exactly, exactly.
but
But
I don't know.
everybody sees, like you said, they see how lavish everybody's lives are, and
Yeah.
they want that lavish lifestyle, right? And it's like what people don't understand, and I think the reason why the male population has kind of stopped trying as much as they used to, and they just like all these dudes are going out and just hooking up with chicks and just being like done with it.
Mhm, hookup
And the same
culture
thing
is
with women, you know what I'm
wild.
saying? Like the culture's insane. And it's like that on both sides. They're kind of testing the waters is what a lot of them say. I'm like, you know, you're testing the water. You're testing them more than just the waters at this point. You have to be careful.
Yeah,
And it's like, well, obviously that's a whole nother story for a whole new can of worms for another day. But you're putting yourself in a situation where these really good guys are out here, and even though we can't give you, um, $6,000 jewelry every 2 or 3 months, it doesn't
yeah,
mean that we don't give you as much as we possibly can to make you happy. And it's sometimes that emotional, um, like desire to take care of somebody is so much stronger than the financial because you could find people all day long to spend money on you. Okay. But
yeah,
you can't find somebody who will devote their time to you. And you can't. It's like that's a 1 in fucking 50,000 in the populace now because most people are just, like you said, hookup culture. And it's just like they're out there looking to dive into something like that. They're not worried too much about like, okay, where am I going to be in 10 years? Do I want to have a serious relationship? Do I want to have someone to love or something like that? Like some of us, like I'm very old school, right? I was raised in a situation where my parents were together for a very long time before my father passed. And they were very devoted to each other. No matter how bad things got, they loved each other
mhm,
and they stayed married and they worked it out, right?
and to
Nowadays,
me,
people just run away. It's crazy.
that's a lot more valuable to, like,
Absolutely.
to stay together no matter what, like, especially when financial times are hard or good, um, than to just be given gifts and, like, flowers, even if it's just simple as flowers and jewelry or whatever, it doesn't have to be, like, $6,000 worth of something, but, like, I don't know, if I'm in a relationship and somebody's just giving me gifts all the time and then they're a fucking asshole
It's
all the
pointless.
other
It's
times,
it's like
it's
saying
just
sorry for every bad thing you do and assuming
yeah,
that
it's like
people are just
slapping a
going to
Band-Aid
trust
on
you.
it,
Yeah.
but, like, it's not fixing anything and it's not making the relationship better and everything still sucks,
Yeah. Like you can
but,
apologize
like
1,000 times over, but if you continue to repeat the same fucking traumas that you do to someone, your apology means jack shit after like the third fucking time.
yeah. I think another thing too is like with the time and the relationships and whatever, I feel like you said, like there's like you've been in relationships that you've had people who are like codependent and want to spend like a
Yeah.
lot of time with you. So it's not even the quality of that time, it's literally the quantity
Yeah, just I
of
need
that
you
time.
around me all the time. It doesn't matter what and it's
Yeah.
like there's no substance to it at all. You know what I mean? Like we're not doing anything or nothing like that. You just want me close to go watch a fucking TV show we watched 1,000 times
Yeah.
over. You know what I mean? It's
And
just no
Dennis and I were
substance.
kind of talking about this morning because we both took the baby together to his parents' house.
Mhm.
And on the way back, I was like, "Oh, let's stop and grab some food." And then we're just like sitting in the parking lot eating freaking taco time. It's called. It's just like
It's still fucking
taco
amazing. I
fries.
don't.
Not gonna lie, I ordered some taco fries. They were amazing. And I was just saying, like, I just enjoy this. Like, we used to do
Yeah,
that like all the time, right? We had to go run an
yeah,
errand. We'd go
for
get some
sure.
food together, sit in the parking lot and chill. Cleva,
Hey,
welcome,
Clever, welcome
Cleva.
in.
Club is sick too, I hope you're feeling
Oh,
good.
I hope you're feeling better. It sucks.
Um, but yeah, I just was, like, saying, like, I just appreciate this, like, even if we're just in this parking lot for 15 minutes, like,
Yeah,
enjoying our taco fries, like, this means a lot to me, like, I don't need your entire Saturday, I don't need your entire weekend. Like, sure, that's nice every once in a while, but, like, I don't need that every week or
yeah. Because
every
and
day
plus, like
or
you have the benefit of being married to this man. So if you want to go bother him, you can walk in the other room, bother him anytime you want. Right?
yeah.
These are people that I've lived with, and I'm like, you really need me like 2 feet from you all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And, for me, it makes a difference when, like, he's just home. Like, right now, he's in the garage, and I'm like, "Oh, like, we're, quote, unquote, "spending time together," even though, like, I haven't talked to him for a couple hours here."
Oh yeah,
But, like, I like having him, like, around, um, but I don't know, I kinda got over that too. I think more in the
yeah.
beginning of a relationship, I
Well,
more
that's
so, like,
the what
just
do they call
wanted
it? The
him
honeymoon phase
around.
of a relationship,
Yeah,
right?
but
Where
I didn't
you
need to,
love
like
being around them too much, but some people overdo it, and then you get to the point
yeah.
where you're just sick of each other. Like, oh, I spent too much time with you in the beginning. Now I don't miss
Yeah,
you.
well, that's the thing, yeah, that if you're literally, like, in the same room doing the same activity together all the time, I feel like that's where you can
Mhm.
get sick of each other. Like, that's just my opinion.
Well, that
But I
kind of
remember, like, at the beginning phases, I'd, like, be sad, like,
yeah.
if he would go somewhere or even to, like, like, hardware store and be like, "Oh, I miss him." Now I'm like, "I don't give a fuck." I'm like, "Is he home? Is he downstairs? I don't know where the hell he is."
Like, "Wait, did I forget to text him about picking something up on his way
Yeah,
back?" You know what I'm saying?
or
Kinda
he'll
shit.
come home and I'm like, "You left? I didn't even know you left."
See, that's the good thing though, is because you 2 have that relationship to where you can be, like, that absent and still give a shit about each other, right? You know, it doesn't mean anything terrible to you guys to not constantly be clung to each other. And that's a
Mhm.
big thing, I think, when it comes down to, because it shows 2 things to me. It shows like, your appreciation for each other, right? And it shows your trust. And the reason
Yeah,
why is because your trust is, like, the trust is the biggest fucking thing nowadays that's missing from most relationships, in my opinion.
that's so true.
Is because if you don't
Yeah.
trust somebody, you're constantly under their ass, right? Trying to figure out what the fuck they're doing, what you do. You shouldn't have to. If you care about
Yeah.
somebody enough, you have to trust them. This is the thing. It's a well-known fact in life. People will fucking hurt you.
Yeah.
It's gonna fucking happen. You cannot avoid it. It doesn't matter what it is. It does not matter. Somebody's gonna say something or do something that's gonna absolutely fucking crush you. And the only thing you can do is pick your fucking self up, move the fuck forward. It's all you can do. Otherwise, you could
Yeah,
sit there in a
and if
pool of fucking self pity for the rest of your fucking life and just let it ruin every fucking relationship you have afterwards.
and if you're moving forward with that person or without that person, that's the bridge you cross at the time,
That's right.
right?
Yep.
Until you get there, you just gotta trust that you're not going down that path.
Exactly. I used to be
And
like one
Clever
of
made
those
a good point
people.
too,
What's up?
like, remembering you the 2 of your individuals are
Yes.
important too. I think
Very
that's
important. Very
great point.
like
I
I've
can
have
kinda lose that too.
Oh yeah, like I've been in relationships where in the beginning I explained to I'm very open and honest to people about who I am. I'm a fucking nerd, man. I like to play video games. I like to
Mhm.
draw. I like my personal space. Like if I feel like drawing or something, I can't have you in my shoulders nagging me the whole fucking time, right? I need to focus because like that's where I lose myself in the rest of
Yeah.
this world, like in my games and things like that. Now, I'm the type of person I'll compromise with games. I don't have to play 8 hours of fucking games. I'll spend time with you, right? But just give me an hour or 2 here and there just to kind of release that tension because that's where I let it go. I've always done that since I was younger, right? As I've let that go either in my art or in my video games. So just give me that opportunity and then like we'll be fucking peachy. But if you're constantly over me all the fucking time, I'm going to be like, do like, does your space and your bubble not fucking matter to you even? Like, because
Yeah.
when I'm doing something and it pisses you off or I ask you a question when you're in a bad fucking mood, you're like, just leave me alone right now." And I'm like, "Okay, can I
Yeah.
use that?" Because, like,
Yeah, and
you
then if
know,
you say that, then it's like
I'm in
you're an
trouble. I'm a
asshole.
bad guy. Yeah, it's like, and
Yeah.
now all your friends think I'm like the worst guy in history because I said, "Okay, well, don't, ask me to do things if you're not gonna reciprocate that type of, emotion." It's like
Yeah.
I become the bad guy. And, dudes can do that shit too. Don't get me wrong. Like I don't want to say it's just I have a male's perspective. So like the majority of what comes out of my mouth is going to be from a male's perspective because guess what? I don't have a vagina. I don't know the
Well,
female's
I
perspective.
don't know.
I can
My
appreciate it, but I
opinion
don't see
is
it.
people are different. I
Yeah,
I don't think it really comes down to if they're male or female.
yeah,
People are
yeah.
different, right? Like lots of my opinions, if you wanted to put it in like a general box, lots of females don't agree with me.
Oh, I know. That's
So,
that's
right,
one
like
reason
I'm
why I'm so
very
comfortable
yeah,
talking to you about this type of stuff that I am a lot of my
yeah,
other friends that are chicks because they would be like, well, I don't know about that because like they're overly feminine. There's nothing wrong with being feminine. Like if you get down to it and you look into my background and the way I feel about certain things that happen in life and equality and stuff like that, you can call me a feminist because
yeah,
I believe women stand on the exact same plane as a men do. They do,
yeah,
absolutely. There's no difference in your quality than there is ours, okay? Yeah, men might have been, like, built physically to be a little bit stronger and shit like that, but it doesn't change the fact that emotionally, we're standing on the exact same fucking plateau.
yeah.
There's no reason why
Well,
we shouldn't be equal to.
and in a relationship too, like, you need to have open communication. Like,
Uh-huh,
a huge thing, like, for me, like, when you're just talking about, like, how, in a relationship, if you talk to them, they get upset with you, like, "Oh, why are you bugging me?" But you do that to them, then you're the asshole.
uh-huh.
Like, with Dennis and I, like, for me personally, like, I've told him, like, that time between, like, with the baby, like, dinner to bedtime, leave me alone after bedtime because I need to decompress.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I've just, like, ran this marathon in my brain of trying to get everything all the pieces,
Uh-huh.
all the chess pieces in order, checkmate, got the king down or whatever, however you play chess, the queen down. And the child's, like, finally in bed, and I can just, like, decompress, and then he's, like, on my case, like, asking me questions, trying to make plans, tell me to do this and that, like, bugging me, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, like, "You need to leave me alone because 'cause I'm gonna, like, blow up."
Yeah, but that's like that
And
just
that
comes down to understanding though, you know what I
well,
mean?
that
Like,
communication
yeah,
that we, like, kind of, talked through that, like, "Hey, I need, like, 30 minutes. I don't know how long it is, but I need time after
yeah,
that. Like, if I'm in my office chilling, let me chill." Right? Like, right after bedtime, because I need that. And if I come and approach you, it's fine. You can talk to me. It's cool. But, like,
exactly.
sometimes it's just, like, a lot. And, like, when a kid's overtired and screaming at you and
Oh,
pulling
yeah.
your hair,
That's a lot.
and then you're just like, "Please go to sleep." Like like, "I know you're tired, like, we can get over that or get through this together if you don't, like, scream." But anyways,
Well, you
that's
do
just
have
like
the benefit also of, being able to like, if you tell like, Dennis is like he's one of those I feel like if you told him, "Hey, I need some time," he'd be like, "Okay, well, I'll go play fucking
yeah,
video games or I'll, like, work on the car or something." Like, he's cool with that, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? He understands. And then vice versa. It's like for you, it's kinda the same way. You're like if he's like,
yeah,
"Could you just,
like, I
like,
get
give
it.
me, like, 20 minutes or something and leave me the fuck
Like,
alone
for
or
him,
something,"
like
you'd be like, "Alright, well, I got
I
editing and
guess that's,
shit to
like,
do anyways."
boundaries too, right? Like, developing or establishing
Well, it's your
boundaries,
bubble.
but,
That's
like
it all comes down to something as
yeah,
simple as, like, everybody has their bubble, right? Everybody has their place where they're comfortable, and if you can't appreciate their comfort, then, when they ask you, then, like, "Why are you even here?"
yeah.
You know? Like, "Fuck."
Like, for him, because he works so much during the week,
Yeah.
like, it's similar to you. You can't stay up super late on weeknights
Yeah.
because you gotta wake up, like, the crack acid,
Nope.
dawn or whatever
4
the next
o'clock, 4
morning.
o'clock every day.
So, his weekends are, like, super important to him to, like, have that time, especially in
Yep.
the evening to game with his friends, and I'm like, "Alright, that's your time, and if I wanna quote, unquote, like, steal that time for you or plan something, we're gonna talk about that in advance. I'm not gonna just storm down there at 6 p.m. and be like, 'Let's go on a date. Get your shit
Right? Like,
together.'"
what the fuck?
Right? Because then he's gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
Yep.
But,
And
yeah,
that's where
no
the understanding comes back around. Like, you guys care enough
yeah.
about each other to understand each other's situation and not force that fucking interaction.
But it takes a long time to get to that point.
Oh,
Like, I
yeah, it
can see,
does.
like, in your perspective, like, not wanting to, like, even,
Yeah, because I had to start
dip your
over,
toe into
Like,
dating.
fuck.
Like, yeah, to go through all that and then not even know how it's gonna pan out in the end and put all that energy and time and money, of course.
Yeah.
Dating's expensive.
Like, man,
It's
it's like
just
so much. Hey, Pun, welcome in, bud.
welcome. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
it's just
a
like, well, I
lot.
mean, it comes down to a point where, like, like I said, it's not. Well, I mean, I'll obviously say it's fear. I don't care. Like, I'm afraid of like jumping into something, and it's like it's not even like this fear of being like emotionally attached to someone and then losing them because that's an obvious possibility in any situation that you get in. But
Mhm.
it's the fear of like, is this going to dramatically change my life to a point where I can't cope with it, right? Like,
Yeah.
am I going to be able to be me at the end of the day? Because I don't mind
Yeah.
giving a part of myself to someone. Okay, that's part of the situation. Like, I've
Yeah.
always done that in every relationship I've ever been in. It didn't matter if it was a friendship or if it was like a romantic relationship. I'm willing to give a part of myself because even with friendships, you give a part of yourself to that person because like you have to be open and honest to be like, hey, can we talk a bit? Yeah, let's talk. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause that's you giving your time to someone, it's still giving a
Yeah.
piece of yourself
That's
to that
very
person
true.
because they matter to you,
Yeah.
but I don't wanna lose who I am or the person that I, would like to be because of these, like, emotional strains that this person's putting on me, and I can't guarantee they'll be there tomorrow to help me pick up the pieces that have shattered in myself, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes if it falls apart after you've completely changed who you are, it takes you years to get back to the person you were comfortable with. And it's like I felt like I'm finally in a position in my life where I'm comfortable with the person that I am. When I look in the mirror, I'm
Yeah.
like, "You're all right, dude." It's like, and I don't have anybody kind of backtracking those emotions on myself, like making me feel as if I shouldn't feel that way about myself because I have like so many other things I need to worry about. I'm finally to the point where I can accept myself and the things that are happening around me and I can make them all work. I'm afraid of somebody coming into my life and changing that dynamic because I've had it
Yeah.
happen so
Well,
much and my whole life has just been like, here's a really high up, here's a really far low. It's like constantly up, up and down, up and down. I'm finally on this plane of like, it's not necessarily comfort, honestly, like I keep saying, but it's level ground enough to the point where I don't feel like I'm gonna trip at every corner,
yeah.
you know?
Well, like, and then with the relationship too, like, change is it's it's gonna happen.
Yeah, everything.
Like, merging your life together
Uh-huh.
with somebody else, like, it's gonna happen no matter how you look at
And
it.
I'm a fucking man child, man. Like, if you were to walk in my room today, you'd be like, "Are you, like, fucking 16?" 'Cause like, when you I mean, I've got, like, anime posters everywhere, I got, like, like, Power Rangers helmets on the walls, and, I do, I absolutely do, it's insane,
That's
there's, like,
so
Star Wars,
silly.
there's Lord of the Rings, there's, like, Ghibli stuff, there's, like, fucking, Final Fan I mean, stuff's everywhere, and that's just how my, no, it's not a relationship podcast thing, it's more of a just, like, we talk about whatever the fuck comes to our minds, and we just kinda roll with it. It's just kinda that's how it
Yeah,
works around
this is just where
it's just
we were
happened to be
talking
where
about,
everywhere.
strippers earlier,
Yeah, yeah,
and now we're talking about relationships.
yeah. So it's
That's
just
quite the
kinda it
segue.
kinda just falls into that. So we're just talking about because this is the thing, like Mel, I respect Mel and the relationship she has because I feel like Mel's been a good friend of mine for a very long time, and
Mhm.
Mel is married and Mel is happy and she's you know a very mature person, and I love hearing her perspective in these situations because I know a lot of people that are in relationships and it's just constant chaos all the time because they're just not mature enough to stop and be like we should probably not do this anymore, or we should do this or something, and like it's nice to be able
Yeah,
to talk about these things with someone who I know can make it work because from a
and
perspective of someone who's never made it work, I,
it's
it's
a
nice to
lot of
see it.
work.
Oh
It's
yeah,
a lot of work to make it work, let's put it that way.
for sure.
I won't say that the D word has never come up in our relationship
Yeah.
with my husband. It's definitely has.
That's the type of thing I think
There's
sits in
been
the back
times.
of your mind no matter what because it's a possibility. Like if it was a situation where it wasn't a possibility, I mean I don't want to simplify it like to that point because it's not that simple. But like look at it like deciding what pair of shoes you wanna fucking wear tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, okay, I'm more comfortable in these shoes, but these look better. So, like, do I wanna continue wearing the comfy shoes, or do I wanna look better tomorrow or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how simplified that situation is now because divorce is everywhere, and
yeah,
everybody it's so at your fingertips, right? Like, you still have to
yeah.
you have to the worries, like, okay, am I gonna lose half my shit? Blah blah blah. Because it always comes down to somebody being like very
Screw over, yeah.
superficial and something like that, right? So, and it's like a matter of spite. 'Cause spite is a huge factor in fucking life nowadays. Just society itself, everybody's so fucking spiteful, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, well, how can I get back at you? You can't just walk the fuck away and be like, um, let's just go our separate ways and let's just be civil. There's no such thing as civil in most cases nowadays. It's
No,
very hard to find.
it's always very messy. But yeah, like yeah, it's been brought up. Like we never got to the point that we were like highly considering it, but there was like a couple points I was just like, "Do you want to like just, get divorced?" And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. I thought we were okay, it's fine."
Mhm.
But like we would just fight about stuff. But I think another part with relationships too is that like you always have to be thinking forward, like what your goals are and what your future and
Yeah.
entails because sometimes what happens like with
Well, you have to see how those
relationships
people
and
fit into
change
it too.
yeah, with relationships and change though, it's that you kind of have two different paths in your mind, right? Like, your partner wants to do this and you want to do that. And then all of a sudden you start colliding and
Yeah,
your paths are not lining up and you realize they haven't been lining up for the last, five,
yeah,
6, 10 years. And then what do you do?
yep,
Right? If you're not like constantly talking about your future plans and what you're wanting to do and how you're going to get there and having kids makes those conversations organically happen. But
yeah. See, in that
yeah,
situation, there is like, well, hold on, let me go. She's actually not a
sorry.
VTuber. She
Not.
just needed a cool little
This is my first
PNG here,
VTube
so I made her a PNG
appearance.
so she could bounce around on the screen. It's
Yeah,
actually
when
a regular tuber.
a regular tuber.
I don't know
That in
what
my
to call
bio.
them, man. Everybody, because like people say like flesh tubers and shit, and it makes me
Oh
so
my
uncomfortable.
god. Are you gonna kill me?
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like some necromancy shit, man. I'm like, I'm a flesh tuber. I'm like, I can't say flesh tuber. It's weird. She's a streamer. You know what I mean? Just a streamer.
A cam I don't know, I would say a cam streamer, but I feel like that's
That
kind of
feels
going
weird. It
down the
sounds
inappropriate
sexual. You know what
route.
I'm
Yeah,
saying?
right? I stream and I have a camera that's on and
Yeah,
shows
yeah.
my
She's very,
reactions, and
very
sometimes I play
wholesome.
scary games.
She's very wholesome, but we kind of pull her down the dark tunnel of like bad words and shit all the time. We've been an influence.
I mean, if you wanted me to put my camera on this podcast, I totally would have, but I feel like that would take away from the vibe. It would just be like my camera, and then you like your
Just me
VTuber.
over here just bouncing around.
Yeah. So I was down for whatever, but
But
oh
yeah,
man.
I think that I think divorce is always in the back of everyone's mind. But I think when it comes down to the situation like you're saying where everything just doesn't line up anymore, then you like, that's actually a serious thing that you have to think about because, like, in
Yeah.
that situation, like, if you've got to the point where you're smart enough to understand that things aren't working, like, actually genuinely not working, not that you're just, like, you'd rather go out and, like, be with somebody else, that's such an
Yeah,
immature reason,
exactly.
Um, if you're really at that point where you're mature enough to think about that situation and say, "This might not be good for either one of us, not just myself, but the other person as well," and genuinely mean it, then that I feel like divorce is like a symptom, or not a symptom, but like a solution in that situation. Because
I
it's genuine versus like, "Oh, okay, well, we're just not happy anymore, let's get divorced." So many fucking people do that nowadays. Like, love is so fleeting, you know what I'm saying? Not to sound like fucking poetic or nothing, but like love doesn't mean what love used to mean. It's so
yeah.
easy to say, "I love you. I love you." I tell my friends I love them all the time,
Well,
but I genuinely mean it when I tell my friends I love them because you guys are a big part of my life. And like without me or without you guys, like I feel like my life would be different, like in a bad way. So like I genuinely love you guys. When I say I love you,
yeah.
I mean I fucking love you, and it's like it's not like I can't throw that around at everybody because if I do, I feel like I'm forsaking that like emotion because like it's a real emotion to
You
somebody like me, you know what I'm saying?
lose
Like
its meaning for sure. Yeah. I was gonna say a point and I already forgot it. I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
It's okay.
What I was saying is, like, in terms of divorce well, like, divorce is, I feel like in that situation, it's understandable, like, divorce is an actual option, and that's, like, what I was talking about at the time, I think, if that's,
Oh, about to like the love thing too, but even like the love in a relationship, like there's like that honeymoon stage love, and
mhm,
then there's like I don't know, where you're all giddy and just happy all the
yep,
time and you have that spark and whatever, and that goes away. Like
yep,
for everybody, it goes away.
it
Whether
does,
that's like the first couple months, the first couple years, whatever time frame that is, it will go away. And I feel like when that goes away, people are like, "Oh, I fell out of love with this person." Like there's no
yeah,
spark anymore. There's nothing there. But it turns into like this like deep, loyal
yeah,
commitment,
there's a
a totally
devotion,
different type of love. And if you watch any type of interviews with like elderly couples talking about their relationship and they've been married for 30, 40, 50, 60 years type of scenarios, they'll talk about that.
yep,
And if you don't expose yourself to like what that is, because all you see was what's in movies in Hollywood
that's right,
and, those stories of the early love. Um, but yeah, if you don't understand what that like long lasting commitment type of love is, when you are out of the honeymoon stage, you're just like, well, I guess I gotta find somebody else because
that's
I
right,
don't know if I love this person anymore. But
yep,
you
and
do,
then
it's
you
just
just
totally
endless
different.
fucking cycle of, like, bouncing
Yeah.
person to person to person because you always have that weird
And
state
you're on
of,
your
like, I
fifth
don't know how to
marriage.
deal with this, not feeling the same way I used to, instead of just
Yeah,
kinda,
because
like,
it's
getting in touch
scary.
with your own emotions in that situation and saying, "Oh, well, maybe I just really need to think about this," before
Yeah.
you make that fucking plunge anyway. Like, "Okay,
And
well,
then
all these haven't worked. Maybe I should think about it before I do it."
if you have an affair or you start, seeing somebody
Yeah.
else while in the marriage, then you're going to get that spark with somebody else,
Yep.
right? And then it's almost like an addiction.
Or even if you
You
open
lose the
yourself
spark with
up
that person and then you get another affair going. I don't know.
Yep.
I understand. Like my dad always told
Cycle.
me I should
Yeah.
be a lawyer because I could always understand the other side,
Yep.
and it's not always the best trait to have
No, not
because when
always, but I think
you're in an
it's
argument, and be like,
it's
oh, I
fair though.
understand. But, but I understand why people, not just men, but people have affairs.
Yep.
I can, yeah, see where they're coming from.
But my thing is like, okay, so I'm the type of person, I feel like a little flirting and stuff like it's not a big deal. Okay, it's not that big of a deal. There is a limit to how you flirt with people though. Like if you're in a
Yeah.
relationship, you still have to respect the person that you're with.
Like, what are your intentions behind that?
Yeah,
Like, if
yeah,
a
yeah. If
person
you're just being
reciprocates the
playful bullshitting
flirting,
and you don't mean it, it's nothing, just make
yeah,
sure they know, be like, hey, we're just friends with
yeah,
bullshit. It's not, I don't want you to think I'm really putting any fucking emotion behind this. You have to set your boundaries like I said anyway with people.
yeah,
You can't be like, okay, like I'm just a flirty person, but it doesn't mean that I'm like gonna jump in the sheets with you. I'm
yeah.
happily married. Even if you're not happily married, like I'm married, and I want to make sure that's not going to work before I decide to make this type of situation more
Well,
complicated.
and also, like, I don't know, it's a lot of different like, scenario, for instance, like, back when we played GTA and
Hmm.
we were gaming and we went to the strip club together, we picked up hookers together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dennis didn't care at all, but
No,
I could see people in relationships being
yeah,
like,
yeah,
"Oh
freaking
my
out about
god,
that.
you went to the strippers at a game with your friend?"
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know? Like, that could be a big problem.
That's
Like,
that's
just
why I'm
those
saying
little
like
things.
that's where you have to be like more in tune with your emotions because
And the
in order to be
trust.
bothered by that, yeah, the trust is
Yeah,
important because in order to be
trust is
bothered
so
by
big.
that, I feel like there's an insecurity there
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
because that's just not gonna bother me. I'm gonna laugh my ass off. Like if I'm with someone and I'm with them, even if it's like we're fresh and they're like, "Oh man, me and my buddy were like blah blah blah," and I'm gonna be like, "For real? Did I get some video or something?" Because that's probably hilarious. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my mindset.
Yeah.
Whereas like I've been with people that were like, "That's disgusting," and you're a fucking cheater, and I'm like, well, "What?" Like,
Yeah.
I never took my penis out for anybody, I promise. I was just playing with it, the only
I didn't
joystick I
whip the
had was on
dick
my
out, so it
controller,
doesn't
man.
count.
Like,
Jeez.
only my controller was working, I promise. It's like but that's like the and I've had it escalate in those situations where they escalated, and it became like this fucking weird fucking thing, and I'm like a bad guy, but then I've also had people where they had friends like you who were like they're willing to see the other side and be like, "That's stupid," and they've called them out on it, and they've actually lost those friendships because they just needed somebody to stand in their corner in that situation and say, "Oh, yeah, they're disgusting, they shouldn't do stuff." You know, it's like and that says a
Yeah.
lot about the person who's freaking out, in my opinion. Like I said, the
Yeah, that's
insecurity and
true.
shit.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah, don't they say too that, like, if you're in a relationship with somebody and the person's, like, really jealous and they don't let you, like, go out with your
Yeah.
friends or they don't let you, like, do anything that, like, could put you in a situation where you could potentially,
Like cheat and
cheat
stuff,
on
yeah.
them,
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got somebody
they're
accusing
usually
you
the
to do
ones
something
cheating.
for so long, you're gonna do it,
Yeah.
in my opinion, because, like, it's been buried into your brain by someone who you love so much, right? Because you've
Well, and
devoted
then
yourself to that person.
it's just like, "Fuck it," like, they already think I'm cheating.
Yeah,
Might as
that's what I'm
well.
saying. It's like, well, if even
Right?
the one
Like
person that shouldn't believe that I'm not doing it doesn't believe it, then who gives a shit?
Yeah, and I'm getting in trouble for not or for doing nothing wrong, might
Right,
as well just do something wrong.
that's right.
Make a reason to
Go
get
out
me
and
in
find you
trouble.
another fucking path, and that's
Oh my
right.
gosh.
That's right. It's like, see, when I was younger in my relationships, I always make this claim, and I'm not afraid to say the type of person that I was back in the past because I feel like I've changed a lot and kind of grown a lot from the person that I was. I was very immature in my relationship. I didn't understand relationships. I didn't understand the devotion.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't
There's so much to
understand
learn, right?
the under like the trust and stuff. Like it didn't make any sense to me. So there were times where I was like, you're gonna feel when you're younger, especially, you're gonna feel like when you try to get in a serious situation in your teens, like a serious relationship, like you're gonna feel a lot more overwhelmed than you would when you're older and you got a little bit of experience in your belt and you understand people a little bit more and you understand yourself more than anything. You
Yeah.
can say, okay, I'm overreacting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're younger, you can't. Like your emotions just go, especially from a male's perspective. Like in my opinion, females do it too, but from a male's perspective, testosterone is a motherfucker, and it is an
Mm.
absolute relationship killer if you're not smart.
Mhm.
Because it will like testosterone puts you in a situation where like if males that have high testosterone like to fight, they like to, they're strong, they like to work out, they like to constantly be moving and stuff like that. That's how I was. My testosterone like raced constantly, and I'd be at the point like I was threatening to beat dudes up. They were like my girlfriend's friends because they just it'd be something stupid. Like I'd feel like it was like a territorial fucking thing. Like I was like a male steer or some shit. Like I had something to fucking prove,
Well,
and I'm so glad I'm not that person anymore. But at the same time, I'm kind of glad I was that person then because I grew from it. But it's still like I understand people just being stupid, and it's like such a big. So I used to be that person, you know. Like when I was
I
younger, I
feel
was that
like
person. So
in a way though, you're almost like taught to be like that though.
yeah,
Like if
maybe.
you like look at like the shows that were made for like teenagers, right? Like the OC,
Oh
let's
yeah,
just say, right? Like I'm
yeah.
sure you're watching that
I love that fucking
and
show.
you have
Honestly,
the boyfriends always protecting the girlfriends or protecting the girls that they like and fighting and stuff. And then you see that and then you get into a situation in real life where you're in a relationship and you're like,
like, hey,
"Oh, I
this is
have to
similar than
like
episode 7.
yeah. Like, I need to protect her, she's mine, and, like, you just have that ingrained in your head, like, you
Yeah,
don't have anything else. You don't have
it's
anything, like, any good
territory, and you gotta
relationship to
st that's where
compare it
people kinda
compare it
lose
to.
themselves. They need to understand that, like, people aren't territory.
Yeah,
It took me a long time to
exactly.
realize that, you know, it's like and I
Yeah,
started to
they're like they're
realize, I'm
yeah,
like,
they're not your
they're not my trophy,
property.
they're somebody who's
I
supposed
mean,
to benefit
yes,
my help my life.
they can be a trophy, but you don't have to treat
Yeah,
them
but
like
yeah, that's all you don't
property.
treat them like you're putting them on a fucking mantle, you know, they should be
Exactly.
the type of trophy that you show off and, like, that
Yes,
you
exactly.
polish for the world to see, not, like, stick on a mantle and be like, "Hey, look what I got," you know? Like, it's
Yeah,
fucking shitty. It's a more like, "Look how lucky I am to have this trophy." You know, I had to work hard for this, but I'm happy that I have it. Yeah, so, I
yeah.
mean, a trophy works, but it's like I'm an archer, man, so I look at it like, you ever seen A Knight's Tale?
No.
It's like
But it has
there's a
Heath
part
Ledger,
where
doesn't it?
yeah, there's a part in the movie,
I just
and
know
I
his
like
name,
to
I've
go back
never
to that
seen it.
because it makes a lot of sense to me, and plus it kinda fits, like, my persona, I guess. Um, and there's a part where, he's talking about, the girl being the bad guy's talking about the girl being a trophy and that she'll be, uh, like, polished and placed upon his mantle for everybody to see or whatever, and he was like something he was like, and he said, you talk of her like she's a target. And he was like, well, what is she? And he's like, well, she's the arrow. He's the target. So like you become the
Mm,
bullseye, right? You have to build yourself up to the point where the arrow wants to come to you. And if
yeah,
you don't do that, then you may as well just be like, sitting on somebody's fucking mantle, like useless.
that's a good
And
analogy.
I think it's a really good. So I put that in my pocket. I like that one. I thought that
You
was
should
really
keep it
cool.
in your pocket, little note. Pull it
Yeah, I
out
like
at
it.
night.
Well, it's a bit of realism that you can get from fantasy, in my opinion. It's no different than like Rocky Balboa talking about how hard life hits you, and every time you get hit, it's not about how hard life can hit you. It's about how hard you can take the hit and keep moving forward. Because life's
Uh,
gonna beat the shit out of you, and you just
yeah,
have to keep moving forward. Otherwise, you're
and you
just
get
gonna lay there and
stronger.
get beat up. Yeah, you just become stronger with every hit.
Yeah, yeah, that's also very true. I mean, don't get hit in relationships, but
Obviously,
metaphorically, yes.
yes. I mean, unless you're like both in the martial arts and you love doing that shit. I mean, beat the hell out of each
Yeah,
other. Whatever your
I
kink
mean,
is, I'm not gonna kink shame you or
I was
nothing,
gonna
but it ain't for
say
me. I don't need to
kinks are fine
explain
as
my
long as nobody
fucking
gets hurt.
black eye the next day. Be like, oh no, I didn't get beat at home. It was erotic. Like, what? Fuck you mean? Yeah.
But
You need
yeah,
help at home, blink twice.
I think another thing with social media too is like everybody posting, not everybody, just people posting like their trips that they take and their lifestyle, even just like outside of like relationships and dating. It's hard to like compare yourself to that or their houses. Oh my God, the clean
Yeah.
houses. They're like perfectly minimalist houses that their cleaners come twice a week and
Yeah, it's so weird.
it's just
I'd rather do my own cleaning and shit.
I
I don't
think
need
just
people
social
coming in
media is
just
the problem.
yeah, I don't need people coming in touching my shit.
I mean, I would love that, but
Well, that's the thing. If you
it's
know
more
somebody's
so for
coming
the
in, it's just
time.
like, yeah, but I
It's not
mean,
my
my
time.
time is like time is relative, though, right, to everything else around you. So like, yeah, like life is short when you look at it in comparison of how fast the years go by and like how much stuff you can actually accomplish if you don't put your mind to it. Um, but time is like relative to just you as a person in general. So like if you're smart enough to kind of shift the heavier things out of your life that are useless, that you don't need, that you feel like you need, you open so much time for yourself anyway. So, like, doing little tasks, I do my own fucking laundry every fucking week on the fucking weekends, right? Sunday's my fucking laundry day. And it doesn't
Yeah,
bother me to do my laundry. Like, oh yeah, hey, it was fucking an hour and a half of my fucking day. Like, who gives a shit? It's
yeah,
laundry. I can do other shit while laundry's going. Guess what? I'll vacuum. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just that simple shit. It's just like, it's a simple view of life in general, in my opinion, when it comes down to even the simplest thing like that. It's just like, okay, it's my time. How can I best utilize it? Just be smart about your time. Like if you're
yeah,
overburdened, get rid of the burdens. Not everything in life needs to be done right now, and not everything in life is important to the situation that you're currently in. Only do
that's
the
true.
important shit.
Like you gotta let things go,
That's right.
right?
Make fun for yourself, but don't fucking don't allow the terrible things to make the fun not fun either, because you're so
Yeah,
exhausted.
yeah, like yeah, it's not worth it just making life perfect and losing all your time and
Yeah,
everything.
that's why I don't jog, man. Cardio's bullshit.
I think it's also like good like for what I was saying I don't have Instagram on my phone because I don't find myself like wasting that time like scrolling through
Yeah,
looking at pointless stuff or the reels or people's pages and stuff like that. And then it does make me feel like better in life. Like when I'm not comparing myself to other people.
yeah, yeah,
I don't know. And, like, I always get recommended lots of, like, I don't wanna get the whole topic on kids, but in general, I get recommended lots of, like, reels and stuff that has to do with, like, moms and kids and
yeah.
raising them and
Some
being
of
a
that
good
stuff's
parent.
annoying.
And, yeah, you
Just the
start
way
comparing
people act
yourself,
is so annoying.
and then you're just like, "Wow, do I suck?" But you don't suck. You're
Nah,
like, parenting is fucking hard. Life is
yeah,
fucking hard. Everything is
yeah,
fucking
it's
hard.
tough.
Just people make you feel like shit, but you're doing nothing wrong.
Yeah. Well, it's like
It's
the
just
kids that act up and stuff like that. It's not always the parents. The parents sometimes the parents are trying. Some kids are just difficult, and you have to find better means in which to. And it depends on it's situational as well. You know, it's like
yeah.
you got parents like if like for me and for you, in our situations, like we grew up to the point where we can have these discussions maturely without losing our shit or like having fucking And I'm not saying anybody's gone to jail's in trouble, but I don't have a prison record, right?
Yeah.
Considering where I grew up, it's weird that I don't have some type of felony, you know what I mean? Really is. And, but we had both of our parents, right? We had like my father didn't, he wasn't as much upfront as my mom. My mom was more hands on than he was, you know what I'm saying? But we still had that balance there. And it's the same thing with you. Like you had both your parents, there's a balance.
Yep.
They loved each other. They
Yep.
showed you how to love each other. And they taught you that, like, this is wrong, don't do it. This is right, you should do it,
Yes.
and ultimately you matter as well in the situation. So it kind of teaches you. So there's a situational um, kind of variable there where the people who don't have both their parents are going to have it hard in that situation because you don't have
Yeah.
the firm
You don't have, like
father to kind of keep you in line with your strengths, and then you have
like,
the firm mother to
natural
teach
role
you that
models.
emotion and stuff like that, right? There's an imbalance there sometimes, so it's going to be harder in those situations.
I think sometimes it could be hard to like, growing up if your parents are, like, dating different people, like, after they
Yeah,
separate, of course,
yeah,
and then you're getting different people in your life all the time.
different
I mean, I've
vibes.
seen people, like, their parents have divorced when they were very young,
Mhm.
and then they get a stepmom or a stepdad, and that person becomes a great
Oh
role
yeah,
model in your life
phenomenal. Yeah.
too, right? But that's not always
That's
everybody's
like
experience.
maybe 30% of the fucking time. Actually.
Yeah.
Like that other
Yeah.
70%, people don't realize how big 70% is. That's hard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or some parents actually they stay together while their kids are still home, and that's sometimes even worse.
Yep.
And that doesn't create good role models
And if
or
they're
things to
really
look up to.
awful to each other, then the kids pick that shit up,
Yeah, I
and they
remember my
learn. They
parents
think that's how life should be.
when they would fight and stuff, they would go in the car, like in the driveway.
Yeah, yeah,
So we knew like they were, but we didn't like see it, right? Like we knew like something was going down and they were getting upset about, we don't know what because we never heard it, we didn't see it. We're just like, oh, something's happening. Dad and mom are in the driveway.
yeah.
But I think that was a
But that
good
also
thing that we
teaches
didn't.
you that isolation in your problems is important because
Yeah.
it's like saying,
Yeah,
okay,
and
this is not
like
everybody else's problem. We need to deal with this. Let's deal with it.
exactly. Like we
So,
have to privately
yeah.
talk about this and sort this out on our own means,
See, it
not
was complete
like
opposite on mine.
it
Like the
was more
opposite. Oh
like
yeah, my
everybody
parents were
saw everything.
constantly in each other's faces and arguing and stuff like that. Right? It
Yeah.
got rough, but at the same time, they showed enough love to not just one another, but to us in the situation that we were able to kind of balance that out ourselves and say, okay, sometimes people fight,
Yeah.
sometimes people argue, but at the end of the day, like, guess what? They fought on Monday night, Tuesday morning, we're all having breakfast together. You know what I mean? So it's like
Exactly.
saying, and it's half of breakfast. It's not like um, there's no side eyeing and like fucking nobody's holding like a broken bottle waiting for the shit to hit the fan. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a fucking
Yeah.
situation where everybody's
Yeah, it did get,
chill.
like,
It's like,
scary.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
not all
it's
people just don't
crazy,
have
like
that, and it sucks. I feel bad, but at the same time, there's a lot of people who don't have that situation who still grow up really good. And
yep.
everybody, in my opinion, nobody is like inherently evil or bad or nothing like that, right?
No.
Sometimes the things that happen to you in life are circumstances. Sometimes it's got something to do with the friends you hang out with. Sometimes it's got to do with the situation. There's people that's been done shit that's they've just been in the wrong place. I can't even tell you how many people are probably locked up because they didn't do shit, but they were the person in the place at the time, and now they're in the
Yep.
fucking prison. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
somebody needed to take the fucking fall for it, and
Yeah.
that's unfortunate. And it's like life is just kind of hard like that anyway. But, so I don't wanna sit here and say, "Oh, yeah, people who have, like, one parent are just, like, not good people," 'cause that's not the case at all. I don't think anybody's a bad person. I think
No.
we all make shitty decisions in life, and sometimes you have to kinda, like, push yourself to get out of those situations and stop making those decisions, and then some people, like, willingly kinda go in the circles. But there is that degree of people who, can't help it because
Yeah.
they were never taught to love or be loved, right? They were never taught that people can coexist. They were never taught like a lot of the racism and like sexism and stuff like that comes out of pure ignorance because they learned from somebody else it's
Yeah.
okay to be that way. That's the way you should see the world, right? You should say, "This man's got, this is a black guy, you shouldn't like him," right?
Yeah.
And then, like,
Yeah,
but that's not
it's
the
a lot
case,
to do
like, yeah.
a lot to do with the childhood, not just your parents, but, like, just those
Oh, yeah,
around
in
you,
general,
whether or
yeah.
not, they were grandparents, aunts,
Influence.
uncles, just yeah, teachers maybe,
Uh-huh.
anything like that. But I was listening to this thing, a while back, and it was from a counselor's perspective at, I believe she was at a high school, and she was talking about how as a counselor you kind of have your group of students that your list of students that you meet with periodically,
Mhm.
and then you also talk to their teachers as well to kind of see what's going on.
Yeah, you wanna gauge
and
where they're at in school.
she was saying that a lot of teachers would have issues with these students, like, oh, this student's always late, and this student never puts any effort into their work, and this student always whatever. Like, there was just these little things that they just had these bias against students, and like the student that, like, they're just problematic, right? Like that
Mhm.
student's just that's just how they are. And the counselor was talking about how when she hears that from the teacher, she's more thinking of it as um, like, what's going on with that student in their personal life? What's going on at home? What's going on, in their past, in their childhood, right?
Mhm.
It's not just the kid just doesn't want to go to school and doesn't want to show up on time because they're a dingus, they want to go get Starbucks.
Yep.
It is usually more to it,
That's why I
right?
appreciate counselors anyway, because they see that they know there's not just one bottom line. Sometimes there's,
Yeah.
intersecting paths that cause the situation.
Yeah. It's not like, yeah, exactly, that this kid, like, oh, just doesn't want to try on their
Mhm.
assignment. Like, maybe there's something happening that they're just have no motivation to put any effort into life because I don't know, maybe they're depressed.
Yep.
I don't know. Like, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a professional, but I feel like there's like something to go along with that. Um, but like even a lot of like serial killers, if you watch documentaries about them and stuff like that, a lot of them, I won't say all because I'm not gonna like, put them all in a box. They're still horrible, bad people for
Oh,
what
yeah,
they've
for sure.
done, but a lot of them, when they were young kids, were abused
Yeah, they were
in
subjected to terrible things.
different ways. And then this abuse kind of messed up their brain a little bit because, like, when you're young and you go through something very traumatic,
Mhm.
your brain doesn't develop how it should. And that can be part of how they end up the way they do and become serial killers or just a murderer. Um, but yeah, it's just so
Well, that's
much to
absolutely
do with like your upbringing, your circumstances, all that. It's wild. And I mean, some people go through abuse too and they don't become murderers. So it's not like everybody who
yeah, but
goes
it
through is gonna
again,
be
like, we
terrible,
gotta when
but
you break it down, it's like those are very small percentages of people who aren't completely damaged by the things that happen to them.
oh yeah, they'll people still get damaged
Yeah,
in
you don't
different
murder
ways for
people,
sure,
but
but
oof.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But it's
some
still
people
like
just still can't sit out in a public place and eat food or
yeah.
so like a lot of women that have been like in rape situations and stuff can't be around men, even like the brothers and cousins or
Yeah.
fathers in their family because men terrify them because some one sick bastard decided he was going to be an awful fucking individual and ruin their life, you know?
Sometimes those victims, who have experienced any sort of sexual assault, whether it's I don't wanna say it, but the R word or something else,
Hmm.
they develop multiple personalities to cope with that.
Oh yeah,
So they
yeah,
are able to mask themselves and be, quote, unquote, "normal" in a public situation like that, so they can eat in public like that, um, just to deal with it.
it's
But, like,
heartbreaking. Is what it is.
under the surface, like, they yeah. And that's all, like, bipolar, stuff like that, that all
Yeah,
kinda comes from that. It's wild how that all connects.
absolutely.
But a lot of people just kind of see any of those mental health problems as just like, "Oh, they're crazy." That's it.
Yeah, that's like I mean,
Like,
that's
that's
a
as far as
pinpoint
that
for
goes.
everybody because somebody who doesn't have to live with it, like, and I don't like to throw it out there, but at the same time, I'm not afraid to talk about it because it's a serious thing, and I feel like, maybe somebody will hear my words and they'll be like, "Wow, he came through it, so
Yeah.
we can come through it," But I've like depression's been like one of my best friends my entire fucking life, and for
Mhm.
years it dominated the person I was. It made me sad. It made me unhappy all the time. I was like mean to be around. I just because I was deep down inside, I was always just damaged. I just didn't feel like like I wasn't worth anything to this world, right? It took me a very long time to realize I'm just as worthy as to be here as anyone else. But
Right.
it's just a
Yes.
matter of how you put yourself out there to, to be that's what reflects the person that you are and the person you want to be. It just took me a very long time to figure out who that was. So,
Yeah.
so
And if
it's I get
and
it
if somebody
from
didn't
that shit.
experience that to like, if you're talking to somebody who hasn't experienced
Yeah.
that, they're just like, "Well, why?"
Well, I've had
Like,
people just
"How
call me
did you feel
weak
like that?"
before.
Like
You know, people call me weak,
yeah.
like straight up. They're just like, well, maybe it's just you. Maybe you're just like too soft or something. I'm like, dude, I can't, soft. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I am, but at the same time, I'm not choosing to look at it that way because in my eyes, I'm a very strong person. Like I was
Yes.
one, I'm not afraid to say that I sat through, 2.5 years of therapy to try to better the person I am. I started weekly for a long time, and then it like as I progressed, it went to biweekly, and then it went from biweekly to monthly, and then it went from monthly to every 2 months. And it's like
Yeah.
to that point where 2.5 years of my life was put into the therapy, and it, in my opinion, made me a better person. But
Yeah.
and I'm not afraid to talk about because I feel like there are people out there that need to hear that there are people that came out of the situation that I've been in. Do I still feel sad? Sure. Do I still feel
Yeah.
depression? Yes. And I'm gonna tell you, if you've ever had a thought in your head at all of like moving yourself from this world, you have it all the time. It's always there. It's always in the
Yeah.
back of my mind. It's always in the back of anyone's mind who has depression because we always feel like deep down, no matter how hard you try, there's always a tiny little inkling, a little bit of light down there that says, you're not good enough. It doesn't matter what you do right now. You're not good enough. So you're constantly fighting against that. Don't get me wrong. Like I don't feel like that right now. You know what I'm saying? But there are moments where I'm sitting there by myself. I spend a lot of time alone. I told you that. I'm always in my head. It depends on how you're in your head, and there are days where, I start there like things start to hit me. Like my father's passing didn't hurt me as much right after it happened as it does now because
Really?
I realize how much. Yeah, because it's taken this long for me to really kind of cope with the situation of um, all the what I saw is like a lot of bad things that happened in our life together. And like now it's like as I'm getting older, I can realize like, okay, a lot of the stuff happened because of the stuff he went through, right? So I feel like there's a part of you that kicks yourself in the ass constantly because I'm like, I just didn't give him a fair shot in the situation. I just thought he was being an asshole. And I didn't see
Right.
him as just being an individual as a person, right? And
Yeah.
most of that came from my realization of I saw my dad go through a lot of stuff when we were growing up, fights, all kinds of things. I mean, just terrible things. I can't tell you how many times I've seen my dad bleeding in my lifetime.
Wow.
Um, and I thought he was invincible, right? So when he got like what's considered to be, almost a normal surgery, and it takes him, it took him away from us, like, uh,
Yeah.
that was a crushing blow for me at the time to the point where I think it actually put me in shock. So I couldn't really mourn my father because I was like, I was too in disbelief to the fact that like the most invincible person in my life passed away. He wasn't
It's
invincible.
almost like you're, like, protecting yourself too, though,
I think so,
right?
but it was
And,
like,
like, feeling
yeah. So I feel like I kind of shut off from it for a long time, and it almost
yeah.
annoyed me that everybody else around me was sad about it because I kept seeing it
Mhm.
like, well, I mean, well, everybody dies. It's like no, it's like a part of me was like, well, you're not allowed to miss it. So now I miss it. Now I miss him a lot.
Yeah.
Like things happen that remind me of things he did that I do, and I'm like, man, that's like the same way he would do it. And there's times where like you gotta choke it back a little bit, where I'm in conversations and somebody will say something, and they'll remind me of my dad. Now here we are, 8 years. It's been 8 years since my dad passed
Yeah.
away, and it's like you still like the emotions come up now way more than they did like the first 2 years of his passing. So
Yeah.
like that's how depression hits you. It's like it works just like that in that same sense. Like it comes out of nowhere and it kind of controls the person that you are. So like I still have those moments where I'll think about that and it makes me just incredibly sad. And I'm just like, there's a part deep down inside of you that says, hey, I mean, maybe he's lonely. You know what I'm saying? Maybe like my going to see him would make things better. And it's like, like you have to have the logic in your head that says, of course, that's not going to make things better. Because not only is that not what he would want from you, but you can't guarantee that's going to be the situation anyway, right? Like all you're going to do is hurt the people here that need you.
Yeah.
So I'm like one of those people. I would rather put my energy into staying positive for the people I know need me in their life than to allow that demon to catch me. But that's not easy for everybody. Like it took me years to
No.
figure that out, and some people can never figure that out. So that's what's heartbreaking about it, I think. So that's like to go back to what you were saying. So when people just say you're crazy or like you're just soft or something like that, it's like they just don't fucking understand it. you know? Like,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know what it's like to have your heart broken, but you don't know what it's like to be sad.
Or like when people will maybe you're trying to open up with somebody and you tell them, or maybe it's somebody just talking about, somebody else they know who's depressed, and they kind of like brush it off like, what do they have to be sad about? Like, look at
Yeah.
their life, their job, their money, their car. Like, why are they sad? Like, I don't have that. I'm the one who should be depressed. And you're just like, wait, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah,
right? Like,
exactly.
it's just like, they just don't get it. And it's like they're so unwilling to understand how that mental health and affects people that they
Yeah.
just don't. And it's like if, celebrities that, take their lives as well, like and people are just like
Yeah,
they
that's
were rich and famous. Why did they
exactly.
kill
Yeah.
themselves? It's just like that's not everything. There's so much more to it. Yeah, like Cleva just said here, like my sadness question is chemical.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is.
exactly.
It's a lot to do with
Like,
these
your brain
chemicals
has
in your
so many
brain.
different little compartments, and they decide they wanna fire the way they're supposed to fire, the way they were programmed to fire, then your whole life changes.
But it feels so like, you can't just, like, say to yourself, "Oh, this is chemicals, I'm fine, let's move
Yeah.
on."
There's a lot
It's
more
your
to it. Yeah.
reality. Like, it's your life, it's your feelings, it's your emotions, you can't just brush it off.
Yep.
I
And
mean,
there's
some
no
of the
pill
last
that's
things
just
she
gonna
said
perfectly
here.
make it better either.
Life can be a beast at times, and our fear can manifest itself in a way where we think we are not worthy, when in reality, it isn't true, right? And your
Absolutely.
thoughts can, like, totally control you, it's wild.
Your worst enemy. You're your own worst enemy. You've always been your own worst enemy, and that's, like, the truest statement that you'll ever have in your life because you're always constantly fighting against yourself. Unless you're just an arrogant fucking prick.
Yeah,
And you have no quarrels with yourself whatsoever, then that's another reason why you should look in the mirror.
yeah,
Nobody's flawless.
that's
But that's the
that
thing, like, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, we're both Power Rangers fans, we grew up watching Power Rangers, and, Jason David Frank, left the world a while back.
okay,
Huge,
yeah,
he
yeah,
was the
I
White
remember
Power
you
Ranger,
talking
the
about that.
Green Power Ranger, he's massive, big, big deal. And when he passed on, like, my friend was like, "I just don't understand how he could do that because, you're like the greatest Power Ranger ever, right? You got all this fan base, you got all this." I'm like, "Do you realize
R
that, like, you can
Yeah.
separate that from sadness, right?" Like, just I was like,
Yeah.
"Imagine it, the pressure on his shoulders is harder than the pressure on somebody like me with depression, in my opinion, because this is the thing."
I don't think that's true. I
Well, I
think
mean, there's a
that
balance there, but I mean,
what
what I'm kinda getting at, it's like, this is the thing, it's not pressure, the word I'm looking for, there's a dynamic there on him that's different than it is on me because I only have so many people in my life looking up to me. He has hundreds of thousands of people looking up to him, right? That's a lot of fucking pressure. So if you feel like you step out of the spotlight quite wrong or you're not allowed to be vulnerable or something like that, after a while, I feel like all that weight comes down on you. So like he's still human and it takes its toll. And I feel like at the very end with everything that was going on between him and his wife and like the pressure to always be perfect because you had so many people looking up to you, right? I feel like it ultimately, caused his demise.
I just think that, like, what it's hard to compare because we're not, like, in anybody else's shoes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Even
it's different.
comparing, like, your perspective to my perspective too. We couldn't say, like, they're equal, but I think just the fact that, like, if you are experiencing your reality and how you experience it is always gonna be magnified compared to anybody else. I think your
Yeah,
reality is, like, the worst situation,
yeah, and that's what I mean. It's
especially
just
when
that
you're,
I
like,
didn't
going through
convey it
depression
well,
and
but
stuff.
that's what I meant. I
But
meant like he just I felt like his pressures to him were just ultimately just way too big because of all the all
yeah.
the all the people. There's like constantly have eyes on you always.
Yeah. But yeah, but even just, like, even if I don't know how to describe that, but
But ultimately, it's like just kind of what I was saying was just like my friend was like he was in disbelief because he doesn't deal with depression and stuff, right?
yeah,
So he's
yeah,
like he's
that's
in disbelief that somebody who has that much money and that much of a life and that big of a
right.
house and that big of a following can be sad.
Like,
And I'm like,
how could it be
the
sad?
human factor never goes away. Doesn't matter what you do in your life, you're still going to be human underneath it all. Even those arrogant pricks I just talked about are still human when it comes to the end of the fucking day. You know what I'm saying? There's still going to be a part of them that's not 100% like they prove, like they try to prove to everyone else around them that they are. Like it's and he just said,
Yeah.
like, it blew his mind, and I was like, he really thought about it for once. I was like, "Yeah, I understand, man. He's a person. He's got kids. He's
Yeah,
got a wife. He's
exactly.
got
Yeah,
struggles. He's got, like, a pending divorce because of issues between him and his wife. He's got
and he has
every eyes on him."
probably things that he was going through that we don't even know.
That's
We'll
right.
never know, right?
Absolutely.
And, like, at the end of it well, it's not just one thing that causes people to make that, horrible decision to end their lives, but, like, it could have been of things that was going on in his, like, personal
Yeah,
life, maybe.
I'm
That
sure.
was kind of the ultimate choice. I don't know, or maybe it could have been, like, the grand spectrum of things, like you said, like, "Oh, I have all these people look up to me," type of thing. I don't know,
I just think it
but
all played a factor is what I mean. I
yeah,
feel like every
yeah.
bit of it,
It's not just one
had to have
thing.
some type of pressure on him because, like, not only are you worried about, like, the love of your life leaving or something like
Yeah,
that, right, but you're worried about, like, what that's gonna do to your image as, like, a person that people look up to. Like, you wanna be this good person. You wanna be this person that people can look up to and be like, "My life is hard, so, like, that's a hero for me," right? Like, you don't wanna believe that they can be damaged. And, like,
yeah,
to by seeing that, like, that drops the veil for a lot of those fans, I think, and I think he was worried about that, honestly, because they said something, I think his daughter said something about he was always worried about letting his fans down. So, like, I could
right.
see that being a factor, but, yeah, I just feel like for him, it was, like, a little bit of everything, but ultimately, it's like, it's not fair to look at people like they can't be broken, like, we can break, like, we're still fragile beings. We're just not as fragile as people like to think we are because not a lot of people are just like, strong as shit and like they get through anything. Like I could take pain better than the majority of people I meet. I hurt myself a
Yeah,
lot, and I'm just kind of like, well, I mean, it's another fucking day, and I just kind of walk on because I know I need to work and I know I need to, there's still providing I've got to do. I can't lay down yet. I have to keep moving. Some people can't handle that. Some people,
yeah,
the
I know.
slightest twinge of
Stub their
pain, they
toe
get
and then
they're wounded for a week. They need like 2, 3 days off
Yeah,
of. Oh, I broke my toe on the coffee table, and
yeah,
I need 2 or 3 days off work. When I was 19 years old, I dropped a fucking pallet, like the corner of a pallet on my toe, shattered my big toe. I reformed it, taped it up next to my other toe to keep it shape, and then I went back to fucking work the next day. I was like, but that's
yeah.
something I can do that I don't expect everyone else. Like we're all different. Fucking crazy.
Yeah, and, like, perception of pain that people have is gonna vary as
Oh yeah,
well,
yeah,
and, like, that's so hard again, it's so hard to, like, compare,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
there's people who've, like, had babies, they're like, "That was nothing," and there's other people with babies, like, were you, like, given the frickin' fancy drugs?" Like
Right.
like,
Exactly.
that was a wild
Whoever said I have a beautiful life, and there are many days I would prefer to hide over embracing my day. Oh yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
There's plenty of
Yeah,
days where
like
I just want to get right by. I just want to roll back underneath the covers and just like chill with my cat, man. She's there talking to me, and I'm like, all right, well, you make me happy. Let's stay here. You know?
like I went through quite a few years before I had Zane and stuff like that like life was tough.
Mhm.
And like I wouldn't shower. I wouldn't want to get out of bed. I like forced myself to go to work.
Oh
Like there were
yeah,
so many like little signs like that. Like I wouldn't take care of myself. Like all these
yeah. Like
little
you
like
had to talk yourself into doing normal things that you just normally do, like with no
and
problems.
like people in my life, especially my mom, like would just give me shit.
Yeah,
Like, go comb your hair, go shower, go cook for your husband. Like she'd get so mad at me and I wouldn't like get into like what was going on. I would just brush it off. But like thinking about it now that I am in a better headspace, I'm just like, why didn't she know? Like it's just those little things. Like if you have somebody in
yeah.
your life who like doesn't like brush their hair, doesn't shower, and doesn't take care of themselves, like just
But
these
they've
little like
always done
hygiene
it.
things,
Yeah. Like you've
like that's
always
such a
taken care of yourself. You've always been really
yeah,
clean
prior
and
to that,
always
right?
smelled
All of a
good. Now all of
sudden.
a sudden you smell like armpits and your hair's matted.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, that's a bad sign.
Yeah, or like
Yeah,
just like yeah, just those little things like I mean, now that I've on the other side of things, more so, in a way better place now.
yeah, yeah,
If I see people in my life that, I can see those signs, I'm more like quote unquote educated to recognize that
yeah,
and
yeah,
hopefully provide assistance and support and whatever. But I wish that somebody would have done like for me. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And not like shame me, I guess. A dentist would just he didn't understand, but he didn't shame me.
Yeah, it's Dennis is like I love Dennis to death, man.
Yeah.
It's like there's something about Dennis that I love about Dennis is that Dennis is just Dennis.
Yeah.
Okay,
He's
he's
like,
not
"Do you
trying to
need
be anybody
coffee?
else. He's
Do you want
not
me to pick up dinner?
yeah,
Like, I don't know. What do you want?"
he's honest Dennis, and
Yeah.
he's just kind of like that's how he lives his life, and I think that's the part that's easy to like about him. Is he's just he
That
is
is
who he is, and there's like no changing him. He's just kind of like okay,
yeah.
he means well and everything he does, but he's just kind of like oh okay, like
Yeah, and when things get really, like serious, like something like depression or whatever, when I went through stuff, like, he just, like, shuts down.
Don't know what to
He's
do.
like, "I'm here, but I don't know what to do, like, you
Yeah.
need to tell me what to do and how to do it." Like,
But
he
he's
just
honest
doesn't.
about it. At least he's like, he's
Yeah.
just himself, where some people like like run away from it on purpose or something. They see it and they're just like that's
And
the
get
worst thing
scared,
you can
yeah.
do for somebody. Is just be like I get that you're afraid of the situation because people in like dire situations do crazy things sometimes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you don't want to be put in that situation, but you can be that deciding factor. You can be that person that makes the bad thing that's in the back of their mind be not such a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just by a pat on the back or saying, "Hey, are you okay? You need anything?"
Yeah.
That little
I
thing
mean,
says, I've got a little bit of care for you, and I want to make sure you're okay. You know what I'm saying? That says a lot
like,
sometimes.
I Dennis, as an example, would never say anything nice 'cause that's just not his personality trait, but he's more so like his way of quote unquote being nice would be like trying to make you laugh, like trying to make you smile, like trying to make a joke out of something, or I don't know, like it's hard to bring up examples
Oh yeah,
specifically,
I
but
get that.
he always like just tries to like yeah make like get you to break a smile, or he'll make a joke even if you're like really upset about something. He'll make a
Yeah, yeah.
joke and then you start laughing,
And
and
this
then
is
he's
like
like,
me at
okay,
funerals,
that's the
probably.
way
Then
he shows that he cares, right? But
I'm
like for
like the
him to like
Joker at funerals. I'm the same way. Like I'm always the guy that's like brings up all the old funny shit instead of crying like
yeah,
everybody else because that's how I
which
cope.
is what people need, right? They need to
Yeah.
like laugh and cry at the same time. It helps, but it doesn't like fix everything,
Well, it's
but in the
comedy's
moment it
always been
helps.
how I'll cope anyway. So like even on the nights where we're all gaming and like if something frustrates me, I usually just say something stupid.
Yeah.
Like, cause I'm like, okay, what would like kind of end this weird thing? And I'm just like, it'll just be something stupid. Or like if we're like, I mean, if you, I don't know if you notice, but like if we're having
I
a
noticed.
discussion and it gets kind of deep, like in like text form, like in WhatsApp or something, and I don't know what to say, I'll just like send like a fucking goat or like a camel or something. Like I don't know what else. Like I'm just like, okay, well this would be funny because everybody's like, what the fuck? Nobody ever sends a goat emoji. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, look, here's a goat, and it's like smoking beers. It's like, hey, um, we're cool. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know what else
I
to
feel
do. You know what
like
I'm saying? I'll send
in
that. I just feel
gaming
like you got to do that sometimes.
in gaming situations, I feel like I'm either quiet if things get intense,
Yeah,
or I
yeah,
just like make myself the idiot and laugh a lot.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or I take the blame. I always like if somebody like I have no like
You do
specific
that a lot
examples because I'll
anyway.
do
You're
this
like,
for
oh, that was my
everything.
fault. I did. No, no, it
Yeah, for
wasn't. You
sure.
did
Like, if
great.
I even know that somebody, like, did this, like, if somebody like, let's say we're playing Phasmo and somebody took the camera and then took all the photos and wasted all the pictures,
Yeah, yeah.
and then somebody else is like, "Who took the camera, took all the pictures?" And no one says anything. I'm
You're
like,
like,
"Oh, I
probably
did.
me. Yeah,
Sorry." Yeah, I was definitely me. I'm always an idiot. Even if I knew I did it, I'll just say it because 'cause I'm like, "I don't want this to be a thing."
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
be mad at me. I don't care. I'm
Like, there's
already
no reason
over
to be
it.
mad anyway. Like Chris
Yeah,
and
like,
I
I
will
don't
like
want
kind
this.
of banter back and forth sometimes about this stuff. I'll be like,
Yeah,
"Come on, man! Like, don't lie. I know damn well you did it or something."
but,
But then
like,
he'll be
if
like,
we're playing
"No, I didn't." I'll be like, "All right, well, whatever. Let's move on."
if we're playing, like, even, like, a survivor game and somebody, like, hits the house on accident and damages it, and then somebody's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
who hit the house?" I'm like, "Oh, that was me."
Like, what the fuck?
Like, I'll
That's
take so
usually
much
what you
blame
get
for
out of
games that
me
don't
anyway. It's just
happen.
kind of like,
Yeah,
"Oh man, what the fuck?" And I'll be like, "No, I gotta fix
yeah,
that." And then I just fix it, and it's like we move on.
yeah,
Like, who
and then
gives a
it's
fuck?
done. But, like, I know sometimes people just take things more personally, and then
Yeah.
it becomes a thing, and I'm like, "I don't want this to be a thing, so I did it." Moving on.
Y'all well, the only time I forget it's just a game sometimes is when I've, like, put a fuck ton of work into something
Yeah,
and something really
yeah,
silly breaks it. Like,
yeah.
then I'm like, "Really, dude? Like, what the fuck?" You know what I'm saying? Like, if I build an entire house and somebody accidentally sets the bitch on fire and the house
Oh
burns
my
down,
god.
I'm like, "God damn it." Like, it
And,
is
like, I'm not
frustrating, but at the
recording.
same time, I'm like, "Well, I'll just build it again," you know?
Yeah, that would suck, but
Which is one of the
I don't
reasons
know.
why whenever I'm admin or something, I'll use, like, admin privileges to do things because like, I know ultimately, like with, Scum, like, I will use it sometimes to help get resources, like, we need an axe or something like that because I know I'm gonna spend more time finding things to
Yeah,
fucking
and I
rebuild my house and keep my house from fucking decaying than I will, trying to put together an axe, so I'm like, "Fuck it, I can spend 10 minutes getting the axe, or I can just go ahead and spawn
spend
in a fucking axe,
yeah.
and then I can actually, like, cut down the wood and fix the house." You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, you're not doing, like, an intense run on
Yeah,
that game
yeah.
or anything, like a challenge or
No, we're just
something.
bullshitting around. Like, if I wanted to play
Yeah,
hardcore survival, it'd be a little different, but we're just bullshitting and having fun. Everything the majority of what we
exactly.
do in those games is still very serious, and what we do, like, we obviously go through all the steps and the scavenging and stuff like that, but for something that silly, that like, if my whole team is sitting there and we haven't been able to find a fucking wolf to kill, and everybody's starving to death or, like, no energy, I'm like, "Guess what? Spawn in some fucking hamburgers, eat some fucking hamburgers. I'm sick of
Yeah,
this shit," you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
tired of chasing this shit, man. It's like, I'd like, to put in, like, a bunch of work and get your, like, your skill levels way high just to die over something fucking stupid because it wasn't implemented right into a game. Guess what?
Yeah,
Admin stepping in. I don't give a shit. I'm not gonna
exactly. It
let
is
people
like
die
the
over something
admin
stupid.
role within reason, I feel.
Yeah, yeah. As long as you're just not taking full advantage of it and just making things worse. Like, I'll teleport
And then,
people
like
around and shit like that, but it's like, I'm not gonna fucking force you to do it. Like, I'll ask, I'm like, "You want me to teleport you here?" Like, if they're in a dire situation where they're bleeding to death or something. They're like, "Yeah, please,"
yeah,
and I'm like, "Alright, cool." And I'll bring him over, you know?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel like you do it well. It's not like you're just, like, spawning in everything and then, like,
I
not
spawn shit in
really
for fun
playing the
sometimes,
game.
like a
Yeah,
goat
well, that's
or like a
different,
fucking
but, like
like a horse or something. Like, the last time we were playing, we were just like we were getting ready to get offline, and, like, Cal was standing in the house, and I spawned a donkey in the house. And it was just like,
Like,
you just hear like,
"Bye."
"Meow, meow, meow," and this thing's just, like, running. It was like, "What the f did you just spawn a donkey in the house?" I'm like, "No."
That's great.
Or I'll
Oh,
do the random spawn thing to see what pops up, and, like, I'm afraid it's gonna be like a bear or something. I'm not thinking. I spawned a wolf, and the wolf started attacking us, and I was like, "Oh, no."
oh
Like,
my
stuff like
god.
that when we're just
In the
bullshit.
house?
No, it was outside, but we were,
Oh, that
like,
was outside.
standing on top of the wood shed in order to keep from
Mm,
getting eaten. But, like, with Conan, when we were playing Conan, we knew the server was getting ready to end. I wasn't gonna renew it because we were moving on to Scum.
mhm.
So I was like, "Okay, let's just spend one night." We spawned in a bunch of bosses and shit and tried to kill everything. You know what I mean? Like, that's
Yeah.
all we did. Or, like, the day we all got, what was it? Super AIDS from fucking bats because we were, like, spawning in shit in Ark. You remember that?
Yeah,
We all kept dying. We
yeah.
spawned in. We still had. I'm like, "How the fuck do you have it when you
Did
respawn?"
we
But
get, like,
no,
infected too and stuff?
that's what it was. It was the Super AIDS. That's what it's called.
Oh, that's what's called super oh,
Yeah.
I don't
It was like Super AIDS. I was like, remember because I freaked out. I was like, "What?" And it's like I looked at the stat. I was like, "It says I got Super AIDS." I'm like, "What the fuck?"
that was, like, one of the first videos I, like, properly did of my channel too.
So much fun.
Such a long time ago.
Yep.
It's Christmas, we were playing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started streaming on Twitch at Christmas
Yep.
in 2017, and then I started making YouTube videos Christmas in 2020?
It took like a long, long, long hiatus from Twitch, and then they
I
finally
didn't think
coming.
I'd ever come back, to be honest.
I would
I
hoped you
don't
would. You got good
I
energy
don't
for it, man. I know in the beginning when you were doing it, it was like kind of annoying to you because like you were always getting the bullshit from like the dudes coming in. But,
Oh god, it
yeah,
was
it's annoying.
disgusting.
Now it's
I
like
hated
it's a
it so
little more
much.
timid than it used to be now. Plus, you got people, the mods and stuff, to be like, "Fuck off."
Yes, that makes a big difference. I let my mods do whatever they feel is necessary.
Mhm.
Someone comes in and they just don't like the vibe, get rid of them, I don't care. It hasn't happened that much, I think once or twice, but it's crazy because when I first started, streaming on Twitch back in, like, yeah, 2017, I did it for just over a month total, and I
Uh,
was done. I
yeah, you
never
weren't
wanted to do
streaming
it
long. I
again.
remember.
It
Wasn't
was
very long at all.
very short and sweet, and I was like, "That was cool." I met you, right, and
Yeah,
Chris,
yeah.
but, just the experience of streaming, I'm like, "That's not what I thought playing video games online would be like."
She was streaming Kingdom Hearts, if anybody's interested.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I ended off with.
that's like what
Um,
you ended off with, yeah. And then
or
it was 7 Days to Die.
I
You
don't
did some
think I
7
streamed
Days to
7
Die, I thought.
days.
I
No, I
thought you
did
did. No, it wasn't you, it was
CS:GO.
my,
I streamed CS:GO. I don't think I ever streamed 7 days 'cause I think that was after I
no, it
stopped.
was, yeah, CS:GO. You did CS:GO and, yeah, Kingdom Hearts. I remember Kingdom Hearts. Those
Mhm. Yeah, I should play that, like, properly one day.
Kingdom Hearts.
Um
Kingdom Hearts is like, it's subjective. Like, some people love
oh, I did
Kingdom
some
Hearts, some people don't.
Borderlands. We
Yeah,
played
yeah, yeah,
Borderlands.
Borderlands 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very
Yeah,
subjective. Like, some people love it, some people love the Square Enix side, some people love the Disney side, some people like the Mesh, and then
I
sometimes it's
think
the
the
Worlds, but some of that game is very tedious and grindy.
yes, yes. I think the biggest mistake with me playing Kingdom Hearts way back then is that I didn't play single player games at all
Yeah.
and ever. And then my brother was like, "Oh, this is a good game. You'll like it." And then I started streaming it to people who were like watching and actively commenting on how I was playing the game. And I was like, single player games is kind of hard. Because I would like follow somebody like the whole gameplay, right? Like,
Yeah, that's kinda how we
as a
always do it, like, somebody just kinda takes the lead, and we all just kind of go where
yeah,
everybody
and then
goes,
all of
is
a sudden
what's
I had to,
happening.
like, do everything and know where to go, and I don't know if there was probably puzzles I did, I don't know, I'm like, "This is kind of harder than I thought.
Well, I'm just shit with
Um,
navigation in a lot of games. So, like, if somebody already has, like, a good, like, compass of where we're fucking going, I'm like, "Lead the
yeah,
fucking way."
yeah, exactly right.
I
And it
hate trying
helps
to
to, like,
figure all
work
that
as a
shit out. Like,
team.
little RPGs, like, old school RPGs and shit, like, I was all about that because the game kinda puts everything in the perspective of, like, "Okay, you gotta go here, you gotta do this, you gotta do that." You knew what your quests and stuff were gonna be. Like, a lot of open world games aren't like that. So, like, it's just kinda like, "Okay, do this." And it's like once you get past that tutorial stage, you're like, "Oh, wait, what should I fucking do at this point?" You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
it's kind of a mess. So it helps to have, male over there uppercutting the mic.
Sorry.
It helps to have, like, that, that person who already knows where they're going and stuff like that, like I said, that compass. It's kinda cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's nice, and then also, like, having multiple people, like, defeating fighting a boss
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
same time, so you don't have all the attention on you, because when you have all the attention on you as a single player, like, you play single player games, this isn't anything new to you, but you have to be strategic. You
Yep,
can't just pew pew and keep running, pew
yep,
pew and run and, like, whatever. You have to be strategic or, like, learn their moves or learn their power moves or whatever, their
exactly.
patterns. And I didn't even think of any of that way back then. So I was like, "Ah, this is too hard." And then I was just like I was over the whole streaming thing anyways, and CS:GO is fun, but I don't that just attracted a different audience,
Yeah,
which I didn't think
there's
that
a lot
through.
of toxicity in that community, a lot of cheating and toxicity and stuff like that, so
Yeah, is
same thing with, like,
well,
those are games I don't touch. I won't touch that one, I won't touch, like, League of Legends or nothing like that, just 'cause those games are it's just full of toxicity. It's just this
yeah.
is the thing, like, most people are like, "Competition's healthy," and I'm like, "Competition brings out the worst in people." And not
Mhm.
everybody, but a huge percentage of those people, like, competition will bring up the fucking terrible
Yeah.
shit. So if I stay away from those fuck Hey, Beanie, welcome in.
Queen,
But if I
welcome.
if I'm gonna play a game like that, it's gonna be like legit between friends and it's gonna be friendly. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not
Yeah.
gonna be like a bunch of randoms online and stuff because I know how shitty people can be when they start losing and stuff like that. Some people just can't lose, just can't handle
Yeah. And then when they're just like one person joining up on other teams and they just shit on everybody else,
it. Yeah, it's like,
like
man, you guys
freaking
suck, dude. Why are you not good at this? Blah
yeah.
blah blah. Be like,
It's like,
just shut the
well,
fuck up,
if you're good, then play competitive, get out of the normal games.
right?
But
Like
I don't know.
go
I like
play
CS:GO.
rank.
I yeah, the rank. That's what I meant. I like CS:GO. It's a fun game, but yeah, streaming things is different. But streaming when you have like a community and friends, great people in chat and stuff like that, that you also support and everything, it's a totally different experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Like totally different.
Well,
But
we're doing good there, Beanie Bean. We're just kind of shooting the shit. I think we bounced on the like fucking 10 different topics at this
later, yeah.
point.
We got it early. I
Yeah.
I dropped off the child at the corner. He's doing good. Got rid of the kid, it's fine. Um
She tried to make me drink, not make me drink. She tried to imply that we should be drinking, and I was like, "I
oh, yeah, so
can't. It's too
before it
early."
was like an hour or so before we started, and I was
Yeah, she
just
was
like,
like, "So what are we
"Hey."
drinking? Beer, wine?" I'm like, "I can't
Yeah.
drink any of that because 'cause I'll have a headache before I go to bed."
So then
I'm soft
I
when it
am
comes to alcohol, man.
Akio said we're drinking tea, and I am drinking tea.
We're
I'm
doing
drinking
tea.
iced tea and well, it's now kind of a little bit warm tea. But yeah, I forget what I was talking about. My
Just talking
train of
about
thought is
CS
the worst.
CS:GO, competitive people, why they should just play ranked.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask, are you gonna game on stream again one day?
I don't know, I was thinking about it because like, I'm really thinking about doing, Passepartout too, because
Yes.
I
Yes.
really love doing the first one, and, I
That
just
was
really like to do that.
I love how you made lots of your drawings Muppet themed. I
Oh,
think,
yeah.
like, 2 drawings Muppet
Well,
themed.
I did, like, 4 Muppets. Remember, we were doing
4 Muppet
Halloween. Yeah, I was doing a Halloween thing, so I did, like,
Oh my god.
Beaker, and we did
Oh,
Animal
yeah!
and stuff, yeah.
Oh my god, Beaker. Do you have
Yeah, I
him
made
saved
Beaker the
somewhere?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh,
But I did, like, the Beaker, like, I remember I made him, Frankenstein's monster, do it Animal as a werewolf.
yeah. It was
Yeah, it was
great.
fun. And I
Yeah,
did,
you
like,
should
just some other random stuff,
and
like
you should
Vegeta.
stream, Giraffe Town.
It's I haven't played it yet, I need to, but I was waiting to
Mhm.
determine whether or not I wanted to. Because if anything, I'd stream it in the Discord.
It's an experience. I'll just say that.
I've heard that. Not
And
just
it's
from
like
you guys either.
it purposely is, like, challenging, so, like, if you know that going in,
Yeah.
it won't be as bad. I don't feel like that would make you not wanna play it
Nah,
or
the
anything,
challenging games don't bother me. I could
but
play Dark
it's
Souls and shit like that, I just don't care to because of the hype. The hype it irritates me.
and it has, like, a little story to it as well, but
I like stories.
yeah. It
I
has
like
a
my
good
random
song
games
called "Get
probably.
Back Up." Get back up, yeah, get back up.
It's not that only song they play throughout the whole game.
They just play it once or twice, and
Oh, okay.
they never actually sing it, you
I
have
just
to
I
sing it
played some
yourself.
games like indie games. They got a bad habit of not composing enough music for the games, and then like you have to listen to the same fucking song over and over again. And I'm like, oh, that's the only problem I have with this game.
I'm not sure about what kind of music it entails, I don't remember that, like, other than that song, but there's a
Just like
town.
I'm reminded of this episode of like Impractical Jokers. I don't know if you've ever seen Impractical Jokers or not.
No, I've
But like
not.
what happens is like there's four guys and they've been friends for a really long time, and then they do like practical jokes and stuff on each other. But they what they do is they essentially like three of them will sit in the back and then they'll give a challenge to the guy. Like he's got to go out and say something that they tell him to say to like a random person and get a response. And if he doesn't get the right response, he loses. And then like at the end of the show, like depending on what they do, like they tally up the losses, and whoever has the most losses becomes like the big loser for the episode. And then they have to do something. Well, this one person on there named Brian Quinn, he had this episode like when he lost the episode. What they did is they put him in this car with these basically puppets like Muppets
Oh my
almost, and they were like
god.
they played the same song the entire time, and he had to
Oh
drive
my
for like
god.
16 hours back and forth across like New York and shit like that into
Holy
Jersey and
shit.
New York and stuff. Yeah, yeah. And it was
While the
like
Muppets
and
were
they're
singing the
singing
same
and they're
thing.
playing instruments and bouncing back and forth and stuff too, so it's like making noise. And after a while, this is the thing when it comes to machinery, after a while, if it continues to move over and over and over again for hours, it'll start to squeak and make noises and grind and stuff, right? So it like that was happening too. So they were just singing this song called "Drive," and it was just drive, 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 and it was just like he had to listen to that shit for like 16 hours in the same fucking car, and he was only allowed to go pick up food for like his for the other three guys and drive it back to their house. So like one guy made him go to like a White Castle that was like way past like 2 hours outside of where he was currently, and then drive 4 hours to get the food to the guy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and he had to listen to that song and those fucking Muppets the entire time. There was like 4 in the back seat and 1 in the front seat, and he was just stuck with it. And in the beginning, he was trying to have fun. He was like having a good time. He was like laughing and singing the song with them and shit. And then after about like 3 hours in, he's like, just shut up. He's just like, he's starting to lose his mind. So at the end of the fucking show, he just like, he gets to the last guy's house and he just leaves the car. He was like, you know what? I'll take a fucking bus. Keep the car. He didn't want to get back in
Jeez.
the car.
I don't
But
blame
that's
him.
what it reminds me of, like, you go into a game and it plays the same music over and over again, you're like, after a while, you're like, "I love this game, but fuck this song."
I've never noticed that in a game yet. Yet.
It's mostly in indie games, you'll see it in, like, little indie games, so that's why I asked you because 'cause I'm like, you remember when I did you were there. Thank you for the sub there. That scared the shit out of me. I felt like Mel for a second, I looked at my phone for some reason, I don't know why, like, I looked at I was like, "Oh, what the fuck?" I look at the phone, but, yeah, thank you very much, Queen, for the sub, I really appreciate it. But yeah, you remember when I played the not the long drive, which was kind of funny in its way, but like the
When
other
you
one,
destroyed the car. Oh, wait,
the one
was that the
weird
same?
drawing fucking or driving fucking game where the guy had like the huge butt and the small arms, and it was like I was just trying to like do the things in the city, and it was like the people were
Yeah, I
like
was like,
couldn't
was that when
interact
you
with
end
the
up in the
people.
city and broke the game?
Yeah,
My god.
yeah, that
Yes.
terrible game. Remember, I played the same song the entire time I played the game.
I
So
don't
when I got
remember the
towards the end of
song.
it, when I got towards the end of it, it was like I was like that was like the last thing I could think of. I was like, it's terrible.
Oh my gosh. I remember you're looking forward to playing that game too. You're like, "Oh, I'm
This
playing
I
this
was
game, I
that's
think
when
it'll
I
be
kinda went through
fun."
my obscure stage of games. I was reading
You're
online
playing,
and there was, like, terrible games that people play that are kinda funny, and, like, a few of those games came up, and that game was just by far the worst. I can't believe I spent $1 on that fucking.
you're playing that, like, hobo simulator
I
game.
actually love that one. That one was funny.
That was funny.
It's like I kept drawing, like, terrible things on my sign, and people were still giving me money.
That
And
was
one was like,
great.
trying to it was like saving money for my penile implant or something like that, and then I was like forcing the guy to give me money. He's like, "I don't have anything." And I was like, and he was like, "I don't have anything." He's like, "Okay, take it." And I was like, "Come on, man, this is important. I'm trying to get off the streets." Flipping people
Oh my
off,
god.
pissing on stuff. Yeah, it's great.
Oh yeah, I could pee on
I
everything.
fucking love that.
Is
I
there
love
like
that game.
sock puppets in that game?
No, it was pigeons.
Oh,
Remember he
it's
had the
pigeon. Why do
pigeons.
I
Remember
remember
because
in
like you go
sock
into the one
puppets?
place to talk to the pigeon lady, and like you hear him unzip the thing, and he's actually unzipping the bag that he's got the pigeon in, and she was like, and then she comments something like, "Oh, it's so small and shriveled, way more than I thought it would be," or
Yeah, they
something
put
like that. And
clip of that.
I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, and he showed it. I was like, "Oh my god, they're talking about the pigeon."
Oh my god, that was such a wild
That
game.
whole fucking game is like that. Though. It's crazy. And then
See, this is
your
another
cart
reason
was
why
the fucking his
you
car.
should stream games again.
I might. That's what I said. I don't know. It's sometimes they're just like hit or miss. Like I'll be like really excited about playing them, and then like I was going to play the dungeon of uh Neville Loft or whatever. I can't think what the fuck it's called because I never picked it back up. But remember that's when like my cooler started to go out in my PC and my like fucking game crash or the PC crashed like twice in a row, and I was like fuck, and I just never picked it
Oh my
back up.
god.
I was like, it's always some weird shit, and I'm always afraid there's gonna be like a technicality. So like when I was streaming with Cleric and I on the podcast the last time, I had the podcast and my fucking RAM was going bad, and then I got blue screen of death in the middle of my stream. I'm like, God damn it,
Oh shit.
yeah,
I
fried.
remember that.
I had to get it was like the last one. It was like it died, and then I like immediately it started back up, and I like started the stream right back up. So it was literally only about two, 2 minutes, maybe not even 2 minutes, like a minute. But it was still annoying because I hate doing that. We were like mid conversation, the game just went, or my whole PC just went blue screen. I was like, fuck.
Uh,
So I always worry about that happening. It's always in the back of my mind. So I know my PC is like 100% up to snuff.
up to snuff. I posted the clip of the pigeon thing
Oh, I
if
see that.
anybody was
Yeah.
interested in watching it. I think that's the one. I wasn't able to actually listen to it
Yeah, that was
fully,
it.
but
The rude mind.
yeah, yeah, it sounds
Because
right.
I think Callie like clipped it the same time that Hitch did. And it was like, so I've got two of them. I had like two of those clips.
Nice.
Yeah, it caught me off guard. I wasn't ready. And honestly, like out of all the games that I've streamed, I think in terms of like streamed on Twitch, I think it was the most fun I ever had streaming one was it between two games, and it was like um this is the one that's like Beyond Asleep or something like that. I can't think, but like with the baby
Oh, Among
Among the Sleep, like that. And I had a lot of
Among the
fun
Sleep.
playing. But that was like one of the first games I streamed. I had a lot
Yeah.
of fun playing that. That the game was just extraordinary. It's just a really well done out game.
Yeah, then at the end they had like a little like museum type thing that you
Yeah,
could
like
go
a
through to see
twist.
how the game was made. That was
And then the other one was Amnesia. Machine for Pigs when I streamed a long time ago under
I
my
remember
other
that. You
name
did a face
for
cam.
yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
That game was like so fun. It was so scary. I love scary
I,
games anyway. So
I think that was the first time I saw what you looked like.
probably
I think it was. Because I don't think we used Instagram or anything back then. We
uh,
barely used Discord. How did we talk?
we all
Now
started
we like
we all played Fortnite one night together.
no, I meant like how do we must have used Discord more than I remember
Oh,
though. Because we
yeah,
didn't use WhatsApp.
no, we used Discord. We talked through Discord
Yeah.
and
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
That was a long time ago. But yeah, that's crazy.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
fun.
I think that's technically how we met is playing Fortnite, right?
Yeah, like the first time, yeah, like we never really talked or anything. We were all playing like you, Chris,
Yeah.
and I were all playing that.
Yeah, that's funny. And you're like, this chick, she doesn't know what she's doing.
No, it was fun, man. It was fun.
I
I
got
just
some
remember
wins in
like
that
we kept
game.
making fun of how each other said stuff. I remember that because like you said something because I remember I was like in the middle of kind of giving you shit about how you say washroom instead of bathroom and restroom, and because I never heard anybody say washroom. Like it was like
Really?
yeah, that was
I
first
don't
for me.
remember
Nobody
that.
says that here. And you said something about like you were saying something about what
Yeah.
how I said something because my accent's like funny, and
Your accent's awesome.
And we were
All
just
the time.
joking, and I was just joking too, but it came off as, like, me being a dick, I think, and I was like, I was worried it came off as me being a dick, like, I was told it
No.
didn't, but I was worried it did, because like, you said something, like and as soon as you said I was laughing, and then, like, right as I was like, "Did you say washroom?" And then as soon as I said that, like, my PlayStation went to sleep, because I was in the process of putting my PlayStation to sleep, and,
That's so funny.
yeah, and I was like, "Oh, fuck, man," so I was, like, immediately, like, my
You're like, "Oh my god,
social
seriously?"
anxiety boosted, like, to, like
Oh, no, I don't even
200
remember
fucking
this.
percent, and I was like, "Oh, man, she's gonna think I was a total fucking dick."
This is a great example of, like, how, like, us as humans think of these, like, little
Yep,
moments in our past that, like, we were awkward or weird or it was an
and other people didn't
situation.
even fucking notice it.
And yeah, not only didn't notice it, but, like, I don't have any memory of this at all. And then you know how these, like, memories, like, pop in your head randomly, like, when you're trying to go to bed at, like, 1 in the morning, you're like, "Oh,
Yeah,
go when,
those
like,
that's
my
the type that
PlayStation
like,
went
I
to
thought
sleep,
about that
I was
all fucking
making
night.
fun of Belle." Like
I thought about that, like, the next fucking day and everything.
This is just a good example that, like,
Yeah.
you just don't stress about those moments because the other person doesn't even remember. It doesn't bother them. They don't think you're weird, they forgot about it.
I
It
still do
probably
that
did
stuff
bother me
about
at the
stuff
time.
now, but I try to give myself a little bit more of a break
Yeah,
than
exactly.
I
I
used to. I
mean
used to be really hard on myself, but now I'm just like, "You know what? It's probably not as big of a deal as you're making it out to be, and it'll come up at
exactly.
some point."
And it's your perspective, so you think it's this bigger thing than it really is.
But I still like the situation I just talked about, I just thought about again about a week or so ago. I was thinking about when I was at work. It was real quiet,
About
and
your
for some reason, it reminded me of that, yeah. And I
about the
was like
washroom thing?
yeah, and I was like, "Man, I wonder if she thinks I was a dick for that." And but I keep forgetting to
I
bring it up.
like, I literally don't
It was
remember it
years ago, like 6 almost 6 years ago,
Yeah,
and, here I
that's
am. Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, without a human brain.
The brain is a wonderful but also an arse to remind you of shit.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's so true. Gosh.
Yeah,
Lucifer.
my mind's
Oh,
always like that anyway, so, like, I always tell people, it's like when people talk about wanting to read minds and stuff like that, I was like, you don't wanna delve into this mind because this mind never
oh my
stops. You'd
god.
be so exhausted by, like, the first 10 minutes of your stay.
Yeah, like the which superpower would you rather have? Like to read minds, to fly, to be invisible? Mine's like fly, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody always talks about that, but I was like, if you can actually absolutely name like what superpower you would have, I would want, and I put a lot of thought into this. I'm like, how would I do it? Because there was times where I was like, I would like to just have all the superpowers of Wolverine from the X-Men because that sounds fucking amazing. And then I was like, well, maybe Charles Xavier because he can like read minds and like understand what's going on. But then I'm like, I don't want to get in people's minds. You know what I mean?
Wait. I don't know remember where I heard this, but did you realize that Wolverine is uncut?
Well, yeah,
Okay.
he couldn't be. He would heal like immediately. So.
You know everything.
But he would also never have, like, dental problems or anything because
That's true.
how everything works, he would just, like, grow more teeth.
That's
But ultimately, what I came down with on the superpower that I would like to have is I would love the ability to learn how to do anything after I have tried it for a consecutive 10 minutes. So if I sit down not knowing how to play piano and I played for a consecutive 10 minutes, I could be a pro.
that'd be pretty
It'd
awesome.
be awesome. Any game you play, 10 minutes, you're awesome.
Okay, wait, no.
Yeah,
Because
I
part
wanna
of
be
the
great.
fun of learning the game, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's it's
but
part of the
I don't
experience.
know. I would like it to be more real world, implementation or what's the fucking word I'm looking for? Implementation? Jesus,
Right.
words. Like instruments is the first thing I would think of. It's like instruments.
'Cau
And then
I'm
learning languages. I would love to learn like
Oh, that
every
would be really
language on the
cool.
planet.
Oh my god.
Imagine
That
being
would
like
be
the
neat.
ultimate communicator. Like you can speak. So like how many bridges would you build as the person who can communicate between all races?
Yeah.
It's
Like
awesome.
any issues.
Yeah.
I'm just stumped on the fact that okay, so Wolverine, when he was a baby, he had baby teeth, and then he lost his baby teeth. But if he lost his baby teeth, wouldn't they just immediately heal and
Not
like
babies
not
these though, they would be like normal sized because your bones still grow and conform as they would. So as he was aging, his body still grew the way it was supposed to. So his teeth would still come in like normal size to
but when your teeth
the
come
jaw.
in, doesn't it like break the skin? Like wouldn't it heal?
but I imagine they'd still grow through.
It would just keep, like, growing and then heal, and then growing, then heal. I don't
Maybe.
know, I'm thinking about this too much.
Well, I mean, you gotta think a lot of people don't realize that his claws, like, the TV show and, like, some of the comics made it seem like he had, like, these slots kinda built into his hands to where the blades would come out, but in the movies, they did it correctly, because in the movies, when his claws would come out, he would cut through his hands every time, and then as his claws, retracted, his wounds would heal, so he felt it every time the blades would come out, so he had to deal with
Right.
that cut every time, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that's how he got stronger.
Yep. Well, that and adamantium bonded to his bones. Can't break a metal, then you can't kill something, so that helps, but before that, he was just a tank. 'Cause they're like, wow, I don't know, like, Wolverine has always been one of my favorite superheroes just because of, everything about him, but it's impossible to determine his age because of, his longevity of life because of the way his cells can constantly, like, split and heal. Like, as we age, our cells split and break down, and that's where, like, age comes into place. Like, it happens in your skin, it happens in your mind. It happens in your organs, right? They all start to it
Right.
breaks down because those cells are constantly splitting apart and healing, splitting and healing, splitting and healing. So the more they split, the smaller they get, the more damage you take as a person. So your age becomes like a weakness in the sort. Well, where his body heals back to its almost original state every time his cells break, uh, he his age is like almost impossible to determine.
Crazy.
And his mind's been damaged so much through the years because of not only his um, like the adamantium and stuff that happened to him, but like because of all the brain damage he's taken and healed from over the years of being in wars and stuff like that.
The more you know about Wolverine.
Yeah. So it's like
Oh, I
Wolverine and Batman are my two favorite all time favorite superheroes. Like Green Lantern's really close to Batman.
really?
Yeah, I love Green Lantern. And as far as villains go, it's always the Joker. I fucking love the Joker. The Joker's amazing. And then on, like, the Marvel side, it's kinda hard to determine, but, um,
Wolverine's Marvel.
yeah.
Okay.
Now I like a lot of Marvel heroes. Like, um, a lot of people because of my faith and beliefs, they would think, like, Thor and, like, those guys would be, like, somebody I like, but the way they're depicted in the comics versus how they're depicted in the lore of, like, Norse mythology is completely different, and it's kinda hard to follow them when they've kinda made a mockery of the situation.
Yeah, I can see that. It's like when they, like, base a show out of, like, Canada, for instance, all stereotypical and dumb, and you're like, "This
Yeah, I was like,
you don't
"A
eat maple
A," and
syrup all the
all that shit,
time."
and, like, fucking
Yeah,
it's
a
like you guys
woof.
do say "A," but you don't say it, like, all the fucking time like that, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
we do. That's very true. But
But then they're like yeah, they're like the "a boot" all the time. Like, I've met plenty of Canadians, and I've never heard, like, somebody from Canada say "a boot."
it's a Nova Scotia thing.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah. Trust me,
But,
they
yeah, the stereotypical thing, like, everybody's too nice and stuff like that. I get that you're nice, you're kind and stuff like that, but that's just, like, in your nature to be that way, but you're still at the point where people aren't fucking cross you, and you're not gonna stand up for yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you're not just gonna roll over. It's like they make you like, especially in American shows, they just make Canadians look like you guys just roll over just like the sweetest people in the fucking world.
I feel like
I'm like,
we
"You're
would
still
more
human."
so than, like, it depends what really happens in the scenario, but,
Yeah,
like, in America, if you bump into somebody, you say sorry because you bumped into them,
yeah, yeah.
but in Canada, if somebody bumps into you,
You
you
apologize
say
for bumping.
sorry,
That sound like some shit they
but
do
because
over in
they bumped
Ireland
into you.
too, because that's some Queen shit too.
Yeah, I think that's kinda like the difference is that
Queen
you
does
just,
that
like,
shit all the time. She'll just
report
be
it.
standing still, and I'll run past her, and I'll be like, "Oh," I was like, couldn't see for a
Y
second. She's, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, "You didn't do anything, Queen. You're standing.
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
You didn't even
and you're
fucking
like, "Yeah."
move. It's not your fault. It's my fault."
But at the end of the day, if somebody did something personal and mean or whatever, then yeah, of course you're gonna stand your ground. But
America is just
I don't know.
everybody's like a
Yeah, you like
it's
look at somebody the wrong way in America, and then what are you looking at?
you gotta fucking
Like,
apologize for it.
sorry,
People are just so hostile.
lost.
Something in the fucking McDonald's area, man, it's not in everywhere else. I told you guys that.
That's probably also true. In the meat,
Well, with
it's
like
ingrained in
it's the
us. I don't know
buns and
why.
stuff. Everybody's got that hostility here. I don't understand. It's like everybody's got something to prove, and I just want to prove like how quiet I can be in the background. Leave me the fuck alone.
Mm.
Right. I just wanna prove how well I can hold up this wall when I'm at the party.
You're gonna hold up a wall.
Hell yeah, you lean against it far enough, ain't nobody knocking it down. I'm good.
What kind of super
You wanna
strength do you
dance? I don't
have?
wanna do that shit. Fuck off. Can't s
Mackie D's?
what?
Mackie D's?
Oh, Mackie D.
Is that what is that how
It's how Queen Mackie D,
I call it
like
McDicks.
McDonald's. I call it cancer.
McDicks.
So,
Oh, well, that's probably the more
here in America,
accurate.
that's what it is. Because the stuff they put in, it's the same stuff they put in cosmetics. I don't know if they still do it. I haven't eaten it in a very long time, but they were putting like the fillers and stuff they were putting in the buns and like the breading for the chicken nuggets and stuff like that was all like fucking stuff
That's
for
wild.
yeah, it's like stuff that they put in cosmetics as like cosmetic fillers for like the makeup that women put on their face to cover pores and stuff.
Yeah,
It's the same stuff they were putting in the buns. Same chemical
that's
that causes that reaction in medicine is the
oh
same
yeah,
chemical they put in the buns.
you see those pictures that people like have a Big Mac they bought from like 20 years ago?
Yeah,
It just looks
hasn't
like
aged.
yeah, like it's hard, like it's
Yeah,
dried up type
but
of
it
hard,
hasn't
but
like it still looks the same color and everything.
yeah, it's not like
Well, you can tell
moldy
about the
or like
apples. Like if you get apples from McDonald's, if you go buy an apple from a grocery and you cut it within minutes, the thing is turning yellow because air has touched the innards of the apple and it's causing it to break down. Right. It's protected in its skin. But
yeah,
when you go over to McDonald's and buy the little apples they put in the Happy Meals and you bust them
yeah,
open and sit them on the table, they stay white all day. Like you can leave them there.
really.
They won't change.
Oh my God.
Yeah, will not change.
I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna buy some from
Go for
McDonald's
it. It
here and
might
see if it's
not. It
different
may
because
be the same. I
I know
imagine there's
some
preservatives in it.
well, like some chemicals that are like legal in America countries,
Oh yeah,
like
there's
that they
there's
use for
that's what I was talking about
preservation
the
of
stuff
foods.
for the preservatives that they put in there and the stuff
Yeah,
that they put in the buns and stuff like that because they buy them in bulk and they don't want them to go bad. If you buy bread, bread has a shelf life. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So if you leave it sit for a long time, it's gonna go bad. It's gonna start to mold and it's gonna start to fucking turn
yeah.
colors and stuff.
Right.
So their buns, in order for it to not do that, when they buy them in like quantities of 10,000, and they're not
Oh
gonna get to that
wow.
bottom stack of the buns right away, right? And they would have turned.
Yeah.
So they have to put those preservatives in them.
Well, I feel like they go through buns pretty quick, but still, I still understand why they do it. Like it's more cost effective and
Yeah. But nobody, not as many people go to places like McDonald's and stuff like that as they used to because nowadays, like personal health is more prominent now than it was 5 years ago. You know, everybody's at
yeah,
gyms, everybody's eating healthy, everybody's like going vegan and stuff like that, right? Everybody's like gluten free and stuff. Everybody's starting to realize what certain things do to certain bodies, and they're taking better care of themselves. Like this is the healthiest um, I think the world has probably been in terms of food in yeah about 5 years.
that's crazy. It's crazy. It's true, but times are definitely changing. But I have to jump off.
Yeah, I
Um,
was actually getting ready to say we're probably getting ready to end.
I kind of assumed you might be. So yeah, if you want to do your thing.
Yeah, I actually just wanted to kind of wanted to give you a shout out up in here and let everybody
Oh,
know to
thank
come
you.
by and see your stream. For anybody in here, go by and see Mel stream. Mel's a lot of fun, and like her
Thank
whole
you.
community, usually everybody who's in the chat is just fucking hilarious, and I love it. Like I'd like to
Except
come
from
in and just
Chosen, he scares the shit out of me. Just kidding.
that's well, that's what makes Chosen so funny is because
Oh, I love
his
him. He's the
timing is
best.
like on point, like every fucking
It's
time. So,
wild. He's so good
um,
at that. But thank you. I am
but
streaming
yeah,
tonight soon, actually. I'm
there you
playing
go.
We Were Here Too with Kelly. That's why I had to jump off so I can go pee and get ready. But
But you guys go check her out. And, yeah, I'm sure you'll see me around sometimes because I do play games with her. We've been friends for a long
yeah,
time. But thanks for
of
coming,
course.
Mel. Thanks for being on the
This
show.
was fun.
It
I was
has been.
scared to
It's
do
a
this
lot of
a
fun.
little bit, but then I was like, oh, so bad.
Well, you'll be better at it next time
Hell yeah. There's
then.
gonna be a next time?
Of course. Why wouldn't there be?
Hell yeah.
Everybody have a good night. Thanks for coming out. And, yeah, I'm
Bye,
sure I'll see
everybody.
quite a few of you
Later.
around. So, bye bye.